you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome to the Annie Fry Show. Happy Wednesday. So there's a big court case taking place in California right now, and Mark Zuckerberg is there to testify. And essentially what they're trying to determine is whether or not there is a an addictive capacity to social media, and if the product was in fact designed to be that way. So we're going to talk a little bit about that throughout the course of the show. Here, listen to this.
I think there's two issues. One, I want to be very sympathetic to anybody that lost their child. I think that's the first thing. And I want to understand, are these social media companies doing things to actually build this addiction system in the system? The second issue, which is going to be less popular with most people, is I want parents to start to take some responsibility for the use of social media. You're the one that bought the device, and you're the one that did this, and you're the one that allowed them to do that. And while I don't ever want to put the burden back on the parents, I do want the parents to take note to what's happening. In cigarettes, we know that the warnings are there. If your child smokes, there's going to be a problem. So I really do want to split the issue into, I don't want social media companies to do things that are going to create addiction. I also want parents to lock things down.
Fox News Channel's Marcus Lemonis there saying what I really want to ask a lot of you today, and at about 1:30, I think we're going to open up the phone line, and I'm curious to hear from parents. I'm curious to hear from you folks who have gone through this, are in the middle of going through this, whatever the circumstances might be in your time in life when it comes to managing social media use for your children. What do you want? Do you want help? Do you need government help? Do you need it? Can you not do it yourself? Because I'm in the thick of this right now. It's something that I certainly have had people come to me out in public when I'm out, like, for instance, last night at the Retirement Advisory Group event that we had, a great full house there. I have people come up and appreciate that I talk about being more of a strict mom when it comes to social media use, phone use, all of that type of stuff with my children. The stakes are so high, so incredibly high with what is accessible to our children when they are given a phone. Now, kids are always like, Mom, I want a phone. Everybody else has a phone. Why don't I have a phone? And the answer, you got to get real specific when you're talking to your children about this, or if you hear your grandchildren talking about this. You have to be very specific because they don't want the phone. They want the internet. They want social media. They want the connection, the digital connection that everybody else's parents have already provided their kids. And the truth is depending on your age, not every other parent has already done it. That's not true. When you capitulate to your child, think about all of the things that your child could beg you for over the course of the time that you spend parenting them. Think about all of the things that they really, really want. Think about all the things they ask you that they want to do that other people are doing, that maybe they're not even as bold to like come make that personal request of you. But think about all of the things that your children want to do that they see other people doing, and then they say, you know, I got to have that. That's where everybody is, Mom. It's literally the everybody else is doing it argument that our children are making to our parents. Here's the very unfortunate problem that I think there's a unique generation of children that are facing something and going through something that no other generation will have the privilege / repercussions of what's taking place right now. People who are being put in a position, parents who are being put in a position to make these decisions, kids that are asking for them. There's never been a parent-child generation to generation where the parents had no clue about specifically the digital landscape that they are permitting or restricting their child from. Now, generationally, we always have gaps. There's always technological advancements. I remember the internet came about when I was in junior high. And I remember there being an enormous amount of inappropriate things accessible when I was in junior high that I was probably exposed to at sleepovers or whatever. We didn't have them on our phones, but it was really the same thing. But nobody could know en masse what we're dealing with because it hadn't been done before. So it's very hard to parent and protect. I mean, your job as a parent is to protect. Ultimately, it is to protect. Protection comes in a whole bunch of different emotions and in a whole bunch of different implementations, but your job is to protect your children. And what I see people it kind of blows my mind. Like, I almost feel as though the reason why this happens is because we as adults are so addicted to our phones that we feel hypocritical telling our children no. But if you go out on the weekend and have 2 or 3 beers and your child says, well, you're doing it, you're obviously not going to let your kid have a couple beers. So we make these decisions already, but this is just so new and different. When a child comes to you and wants that social media access, they want to do what the other kids are doing. And the truth of the matter is, if you do not hand over that access to your child is going to be left out. If the child is not there to participate in the social town square that exists on TikTok, on Instagram, on Snapchat for sure, on a variety of different platforms, the truth of the matter is they are going to be left out. And that is going to be hard. But you have to ask yourself, if they're going to be left out, what are they going to be left out of? If I allowed them to be included, what are they going to be included in? For some parents, they don't know the answer to that. They just don't know because they haven't done it. They haven't been there before. For other parents, they know, they think that their kid's a good kid and that their kid won't get caught up in it. But folks, this is where this lawsuit comes in. Right now, Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook. Google also is a party to this, which of course is YouTube, among other things. They are in court to determine whether or not their platforms have been made, created, manifested in a way that becomes addicting specifically to children. Because you can go on these platforms right now and you can watch short form videos on how to become anorexic. You can go on these platforms right now and learn short form videos on how to harm yourself to the greatest extent. You can go on these platforms and they learn you. They know you. They know you in a digital, technical way that is devious in that it's going to reach into your brain and feed you things that you may not even realize that you have an interest in, because it can serve you things. They can read patterns. What do you look at? When you're scrolling through Facebook, do you know that Facebook can learn how long you look at something? I didn't click on it. Yeah, but you looked at it for quite a while. Do you know that all of that information is being collected on you, and then you are becoming a product that they are then selling to whomever, whatever these Facebook things that are being sold, these different kinds of materials that are being thrown into Facebook ads. You've never seen them before. Like, why all of a sudden do we need to? Well, like, I'll tell you this right now. Facebook, I hit 41, and Facebook's like, welcome to perimenopause. I'm like, I'm not really like, that's not really a thing for me yet, but my age says it is. And of course, it's going to be down the road here. It's going to be next, something to start thinking about so that when I really do maybe feel one of those symptoms, like maybe one day I wake up and I'm tired, I need to buy something. I know just the thing. This is a conversation I've had specifically with my 2 oldest children, and I want you to consider this. If you have children or grandchildren, I want you to consider this approach. I don't know that it's the right choice. I don't know what I'm doing. I am making this all up as I go because what I grew up with was a Nokia phone that had Snake on it, and it cost me 10 cents to text my friend. I don't know what it's like to have the whole world in the palm of my hand, the curiosity of a 12-year-old, of a 15-year-old, just to have the whole thing just sitting there in your hand for you to explore and do whatever it is that you need to do, want to do, didn't even know that you were interested in. I don't know what that's like. I know what it was like to be a teenager. I know what it's like to be curious, to be, hormonal. I know what it's like to have a curiosity that has limits because of certain barriers that are just societally put in place. Those barriers all go away when a child has an unsupervised internet in their hand. This is what I'm doing. And like I said, it's probably not the right thing, but I'm going to be open to your suggestions at 1:30 when we open the phones. I want you to make sure that you tell your children that those that you are looking after, that your job to protect, number one job is to protect. I want you to understand that those children need to understand that they're not doing anything wrong because they're curious. They're not doing anything wrong because they want to be included. That the reasons why they are being restricted from accessing the wild, wild west of the internet is because you love them, because you care about them, and because you are learning, and at least to this capacity, that the Metas of the world, the Alphabet, which is Google's of the world, the TikToks of the world, whoever ends up owning that, Snapchat, these people are looking to your child to be something they can sell. It's not personal to your kid. Like, that's something that I've had to explain to my kid. You have natural human curiosities, or you have, like my son, he watches a ton of baseball replays and basketball highlights and stuff. The algorithm knows that he's going to like that, or any particular, even specific kind of basketball video. So they're going to keep giving it to him longer. Because if they make him watch longer, they can sell things longer. He's a product. It's not personal. You're not doing anything wrong here, son. You're not doing anything wrong here, daughter. I love you, and I'm not ready to turn you over to the world to just be a commodity that can be traded in the hands of people who don't care about your soul. I care about your soul. And I am one of the only two people on this planet that would unequivocally, without a doubt, throw myself in front of a moving train to save your life, to save your soul. I will do that for you. You will hate me for it. The rest of the world is going to work on making sure your child loves them. Everybody else cares about how your child makes them feel. That's the parenting distinction here. If restricting your child's access to something makes them hate you, and you're doing it because you love them and you have the wisdom and the experience of an adult to understand that parenting, when you're doing your best parenting, sucks. When you're out there really nailing it as a parent, it feels lonely. You feel isolated because the thing that you've created that you love the most on the face of this earth hates you for it. Parents are the ones who are tasked with doing that. The rest of the world, they're going to tell them everything they want to hear. They're going to give them everything they want because they want something back from them. We have to think very carefully about this discussion that we're having right now about regulation of social media, of access for children, handing over that responsibility to the government to say, parent my kids. I'm interested in the government, essentially, in some cases, reaching into some of these corporations and making sure that they are not preying upon our children, that they are not predators of our children. I'm interested in that. But don't ever, ever let the government rush and beat you to parenting your own child. Don't ever let them beat you to that punch. That's your job, because they don't love your child. You do. YouTube live chat poll, should government regulate age of access to social media, yes or no? Jim Carafano, when we come back, senior counselor to the president and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. Are we going to Iran? A little bit of a transition there. Jim Carafano, the best guy I can think of to talk about it next. Stuart's American Mortgage, my friend Stewie. I call him my friend. Kind of developed that friendship with Stewie after I did 2 different bagel loan refinances with him. So I've gone through this process twice. So when I tell you the best game in town on a new mortgage to you, whether it's a brand new mortgage on a new home or refinance on your current one, when I tell you that it's the best deal in town, I vetted it and it was the best deal for me. Twice. I encourage you to call them to see if he can improve your mortgage situation, either for a new home purchase or for a refinance, even a cash out refinance. The first one that I did, regular refinance, my rate got lowered significantly with that first one. It was in 2019. Rates were plummeting. The second one, I lowered my rate again, got it in the 2s, but also took a chunk of change out of the equity of my home so we could replace the deck on the back of our house. Smart move. We have a beautiful deck, and now it doesn't move back and forth when you walk on it. That's not good. 314-324-4440. Reach out to Stewie at 314-324-4440. Tell him Annie sent you. You can Google the bagel loan to find out more information. NMLS number 22671.
Michael's Bass, you've upgraded the kitchen, you've invested in your home, so why settle for a bathroom that still feels ordinary? At Michael's Bass, they create elevated bathroom spaces that blend luxury, comfort, and smart design, all tailored to the way you live. This isn't a temporary fix or a quick cover-up. It's a complete transformation, built to last and built to add value to your home. And now is the perfect time to plan for a spring installation. Visit michaelsbass.com or call 636-775-0800. Ask about financing options, including 0% interest. michaelsbass.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Annie Fry Show is St. Louis conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We appreciate you being with us on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon here in St. Louis. When I get to our next guest, Jim Carafano, who joins us once again. Jim Carafano, the senior counselor to the president and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. Jim, welcome back. Good to have you.
Hey, so I have my new idea for a highwayman supergroup.
Okay.
Chris Stapleton, Jelly Roll, and Lenny Wilson.
There you go.
That's my supergroup.
So I'm 100% for that. I would be happy to buy tickets to watch that show. I think that would be fantastic. I want to ask you about Iran. I think it was at the top of the hour on the Fox News radio hit. It's like this kind of random casual question. Are we going to Iran to war with Iran? So I don't want to lay in any more than that, Jim Carafano. Are we going to war with Iran?
I don't know.
Okay.
So look, I mean, one is there's 2 conditions under what I would envision that Trump might use military force. One, it's very clear that the regime is not going to be toppled by the people. That's clear. So if Trump was going to drive regime change, he would have to do a pretty substantial military strike, which I think he would be prepared to do, but only if he knew how the country was going to be governed afterwards. That's kind of the Venezuela model. So So that's one precondition, which obviously I don't know the answer if he's got that kind of enough. The other one is he might just do a strike to significantly degrade the missile forces and the nuclear capability. It's punishing the regime. You say it's in support of the Iranian people. I mean, I think that's also feasible. He's got the military force in place to do either of those. I don't know. It seems that he would prefer to have a deal, and he's willing to maybe wait a little longer for that. But honestly, I'm not really sure if it's the kind of deal that the Iranians can come to the table and do. So they've got to give up enrichment. They have to give up their missile program. They have to somehow address kind of the abuse of the Iranian people. They have to, agree to stop funding the surrogates. That's a lot. Now, here's what I will say, which is you could tell nothing, absolutely nothing, from what the Iranians say publicly. Because remember, in this part of the world, honor is power. You're only respected if you're feared. And so the Iranians are going to, in public, bluster and talk and tough and say all kinds of nonsense that may or may not reflect whether they're going to, buckle behind the scenes. We just don't know that. So.
Well, I think you said something there at the beginning. It's obvious that the Iranian people are not going to overthrow the government. What kind of reaction? What do you want people to know here that are watching to see, if Donald Trump's going to do the thing they absolutely love or the thing they absolutely hate? Because everyone's kind of predetermined. That cake's been pre-baked. But what's actually going on in the streets of Iran to the people there? They are trying to overthrow their government. You say they're not going to be successful. What's the government doing to them?
Well, the signs that they would be successful is you would have to see significant defections from the security forces. If you saw that, the people that prop up the crown, if that was happening, then you could say, okay, this is all going down. But until you see, the typical situation in the streets where the rioters run up to the police and then the police turn and join the rioters, that's the level, that's the kind of thing that you look for to say, okay, this regime won't stand. Right? If you think of Tiananmen Square, right, with the guy bravely standing in front of the tank.
Yeah.
If the tank had turned around and turned the turret the other way and pointed it at the palace, then you would have known the revolution was there.
Yeah.
So.
That makes sense. Jim Carafano is speaking with us right now. I want to ask you about Marco Rubio's speech in Munich. It's being lauded. I think it was like about a 29-minute speech. I ended up finally watching it, I think, last night. But everyone was just raving and raving about it. First, do you also rave about it? And second of all, what was unique about what Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, said that really cut through the masses and made people like it so much?
Well, so here's my grumble. I've been telling this to Europeans since 2016, that this is the real Donald Trump, right?
Yeah.
And nobody is, blasting my name. No, it was a great speech.
I am, Jim. I'm here for you. Jim Carafano, everybody.
But here's the problem, I think, is you have Europeans that are entrenched in power and authority, and they don't want to give that up. So they don't want to hear this, right? But if you look behind the cover, right, if you pull where the wizard is hiding behind the screen, what you really see is there's no there other than acknowledging the reality of the need for and the importance of American leadership, and the thing that you would say in quiet that you would never say in public. If you really wanted a Europe that was free and prosperous and secure, you would never say this out loud. But in private, when the doors are closed and you have a glass of scotch in your hand and with your friends, you say, we all know Donald Trump's really right. We know that. We hate the guy, we hate everything about him, but he's right about Europe. They would say that.
Yeah, it feels as though, I don't know if you feel like Biden's foreign policy was just an extension of Obama's, if there was an extra step that was taken in his globalism by the people running the Biden administration. But Donald Trump seems to have been pretty consistent in term one and term two, at least in mentality, his foreign policy through economic means. And, I think back to his conversation when he went to the, it was when he lifted the Syria sanctions. Right. But he was talking about these countries that, me being 17 years old when 9/11 happened, in my mind, they're just like good guys and bad guys. But some of these names were being talked about, and he was saying the world would be better if we were all successful. And that I had to sit down and go, well, I got to hear that again. Talk to me more about it. It just seems so different.
Yeah, unfortunately, the world isn't full of people who want us to be all successful. It's interesting you compared Biden and Obama foreign policy. So the only difference between Biden and Obama foreign policy is Joe Biden took one foreign policy initiative, which was completely on his own and not an extension of Obama, and that was pulling out of Afghanistan. And look how that turned out.
His one signature move. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. You can't – what we've seen in 12 months, American presidents haven't been able to accomplish in 30 years. A greatly weakened Iranian regime. That hasn't happened since Jimmy Carter first sent the Ayatollah into Iran. Cuba on its knees. Latin America flipping in less than 12 months from mostly communist and socialist ruled governments to conservative governments. Japanese and South Korean allies stepping up like never before. The partnership between the United States and India. The U.S. partnerships in the South Caucasus and Central Asia, a place where we've never even been recognized for decades. American investment in Africa actually outcompeting today, as we speak, more American foreign direct investment in Africa than from China. This is unbelievable. I mean, and just 12. I mean, if somebody had done this, and don't even want to talk about NATO spending at 5%. If somebody had accomplished this in 8 years as president, we would build another monument next to the Washington Monument. And this is like 12 months.
Yeah.
It's really quite unbelievable.
Last question before we let you go. We're speaking with Jim Carafano. We've got midterm elections coming up, which I know you do policy, not politics. But if the majorities changes, that will change the landscape of Washington, D.C. Does that affect the president's ability to continue to carry out his foreign policy plans and initiatives if there's some sort of change come November?
Likely not. I mean, we've seen many presidents lose midterm elections. Foreign policy is one area where it's very, very difficult for Congress to really push them. So I don't anticipate that. And as far as what happens in the midterms, I think we all know it's the economy, and it's which party talks stronger and more effectively on that to voters at the local level is the party that's going to be good. But remember that the big issue, it's not about sweeping change in Washington. I mean, these are razor-thin margins in the House and the Senate that define control. So between the redistricting and, a seat here and a seat there, I wouldn't run to Vegas. Well, I would. I'd go to Vegas because no doubt's going to play there, and I'd like to see that. But I wouldn't rush to make a bet on the midterms.
Jim, thank you for being with us. We've been telling everybody that you've been saying this the whole time. And Marco Rubio is brand new to the game. And he's finally taken a page out of the Jim Carafano book.
You know what we call him here at the Heritage Foundation?
What's that?
The rookie.
Oh, man. Jim, we can't wait to talk to you again. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Bye. You know what we call Marco Rubio at the Heritage Foundation? The rookie. Now, if that gets back to them, I hope the Heritage Foundation doesn't get in trouble because of the little Annie Fry show. The rookie. Marco Rubio is my favorite, and I've been saying it since 2015. So I am long on record as saying that. And just a little, put a pin in it, 12:32, Wednesday, February 18th, Ron DeSantis for Attorney General. Let's go to a break. White House is doing a press briefing right now. We'll dip in and see what their initial messages and see what they're talking about here when we come back. Lots to discuss, to continue to discuss. Our YouTube poll, should government regulate age of access to social media? You want the government to step in? Yes or no? Annie Fry YouTube channel. Go vote. We'll be right back. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. I encourage you to call Matt Hayes and talk to him about what you're dealing with in your basement. It can start with a phone call. You can say, well, gosh, I don't know. Annie keeps talking about this, and I thought maybe I'd give you a phone call because you got a basement situation. It could be new. Maybe it's old. Maybe you're looking at buying a house, or maybe you just bought a house and you discover this and you don't want to deal with the long-term effects of not fixing a wet basement, cracks in your wall. Well, this is where Matt Hayes comes in, because when you call 314-271-9900, 314-271-9900, call Home Shield Foundation Repair. He'll come look at what you're dealing with and explain how he can help you. And then you can hire him if you think he's the right guy. I think you'll think he's the right guy. 314-271-9900. When you get to know him and his staff, they've got the best team in the business. They are locally owned and operated right here out of St. Louis. Home Shield Foundation Repair is the answer to the question that you've been scratching your head over for a while. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
When it comes to lighting, Graybar goes beyond parts and products. We help contractors turn plans into smart designs, manage kitting and deliverables, and navigate local codes so you can stay on time and on budget. Smart, scalable, job site ready. That's not just lighting. That's like kicking your project into Graybar mode. Yep, Graybar does that.
Doesn't it feel like you hear all the time from retired friends and family, I wish someone had told me this before I retired? Or why didn't anybody tell me this? Why is this not a class? Well, that's exactly why Financial and Tax Architects was founded. FTA keeps hardworking families in St. Louis make sense of retirement. They show them how to keep more of what they've earned and how to make it last. That way you can get some sleep at night. You don't have to second guess every expense leading up to retirement. You understand what's going on. Their Retirement Planning 101 class is a practical, no-cost course. They teach it at local colleges. It's just one night. You learn strategies to reduce taxes, plan your income, make confident decisions about Social Security and taxes and inflation. And FTA focuses on education. They try to change the way you retire. Call 888-5101 or go to fta-ria.com to register.
Hey, welcome to Wednesday, the 18th of February. The YouTube live chat poll today is, should government regulate the age of access to social media, yes or no? Here's a couple comments. Andy says, maybe, but I don't know if it's really possible. There's got to be a ways around it. What counts as social media? That's a good question. Joe says, since the government has successfully run no business ever and can't do anything without bias, keep their hands off of social media. What do you think about this topic? We've been talking about it today. We will continue to talk about this today and most likely take your phone calls in the next hour. So if you want to weigh in, that's a great way to do it. 12:36 right now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. I want to dip in a little bit here to the press conference at the White House. Carolyn Leavitt is addressing the press. Standard issue, but I wanted to see here what maybe she's highlighting as her top stories. Let's listen.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience as always. Let's begin with some scheduling announcements for the remainder of President Trump's very busy week. Today at 3 p.m., President Trump will host a Black History Month reception in the East Room of the White House. I know many of you will attend, and we will see you up there. Tomorrow, President Trump will host a Board of Peace meeting at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace, where he will announce that member states have pledged more than $5 billion towards the Gaza humanitarian and reconstruction efforts, and have also committed thousands of personnel to the International Stabilization Force and local police to maintain security and peace for Gazans. Tomorrow afternoon, the president will travel to the great state of Georgia, where he will visit 2 local businesses and give a speech on his efforts to make life affordable for working people. On Friday, President Trump will host a working breakfast with governors in the East Room here at the White House. And on Saturday night, President Trump and the First Lady will host the annual Governor's Dinner. Next, I'd like to provide an update on the economy. We're seeing promising signs every day that 2026 is going to be a record successful year for the American people, just as President Trump promised them. The January jobs report shattered expectations, highlighting how the president's pro-growth economic agenda is fueling American prosperity. The economy added 172,000 new private sector jobs to kick off the year. That's more than 2.5 times economists' predictions. The labor force participation rate went up while the unemployment rate fell. The prime age labor force participation rate is now at its highest since 2001. Most importantly, 100% of all job creation under President Trump continues to be in the private sector. This is truly remarkable. That's 615,000 private sector jobs that have been added in President Trump's second term thus far. These are real working people. These are real American families who will be living out their American dream. Meanwhile, federal government employment has shrunk to its lowest level since 1966, saving taxpayers $29 billion annually. And all of the net job growth under President Trump has gone to native-born Americans, ending the disgraceful pattern under Joe Biden of job gains going to non-citizens and illegal aliens. Additionally, on inflation, the new CPI report is even more proof of the progress made by President Trump. Despite all of the doom casting from the so-called experts, the president has managed to utilize powerful tariffs to secure trillions of dollars in investments into our country and rebalance our trade deals while simultaneously cooling inflation. Year-over-year inflation fell to 2.4% in January, beating expectations again and marking the lowest level since May. Core inflation, the best measure of inflation, dropped to its lowest level in nearly 5 years. Meanwhile, real average hourly earnings for all private sector workers rose in the month of January, which means more money is going back directly into people's pockets. After only 1 year of President Trump back in office, real earnings for all private sector workers have outpaced inflation by nearly $1,400, earning back roughly half of the $2,900 they lost under Joe Biden when 40-year high inflation was stealing Americans' purchasing power. President Trump's policies are and will continue to allow Americans' incomes to go further for bills, retirement, and achieving the American dream. A key part of the American dream is buying a home, and that is finally becoming more affordable under this president. This past week, it was announced the annual mortgage cost for a new home has fallen by $4,000 so far under President Trump, after rising by roughly $15,000 under Joe Biden. As a result, mortgage affordability has reached a 4-year best following recent bold action by the president to make home ownership more attainable for American families, not large Wall Street corporate institutional investors. At the same time, national median rents have fallen to a 4-year low and have declined for 6 consecutive months. The annual rental cost for a new rental unit has fallen nearly $100 so far under President Trump, after rising more than $3,000 under Joe Biden. And many are crediting that to the president's deportation efforts to remove illegal aliens from our communities and therefore from housing that should be used for American citizens. At the grocery store, the price of eggs, dairy, cheese, fresh fruit, apples, oranges, potatoes, tomatoes, and butter have fallen since President Trump took office, and he is continuing to fight for even lower prices at the grocery store for the American consumer. At the gas pump, fuel prices are down by almost 10% over the past year. The average national price for a gallon of regular gas is now less than $3 and is approaching $2.70 in some states, and much lower than that in many states across the country as well. We've seen in several states gas is under $2 a gallon. And at the pharmacy, prescription drug prices are down over the past year, with even more price relief ahead for American patients, thanks to President Trump's most favored nation drug pricing deals and the great health care plan, which he is calling on Congress to pass as soon as possible. What President Trump wants Americans to understand is that this is only the start and the best is yet to come. The historic success that we have seen since he took office is just the beginning of enormous growth and opportunity that we are about to witness. And I know the president looks forward to hitting the road and being with the great people of Georgia tomorrow to talk about just this. So with that, today, I know there's a lot of news. I will open it up to take your questions, and we're going to start, as always, with our new media seat, the great Michael Graham from Inside Sources. Thank you for being here, Michael.
Thank you for having us, and thanks from our 200 newspaper partners around the country. So you mentioned gas. We didn't mention natural gas. And back where you live, your friends and family are paying among the highest prices for natural gas to heat their home and for electricity generation, the #1 source of power across New England. The cheap gas is in Pennsylvania. The 2 highest places to buy gas in the country, New York City and Boston. The problem is the blue states will not allow the gas to travel to produce electricity or to reach customers. When President Trump first came back in office, there was some talk, him and Governor Hochul in New York possibly reaching a deal. When will consumers in the Northeast feel relief from President Trump's energy policies, and what can he do about state objections to expansion of infrastructure. Then I have a quick follow-up.
Sure, absolutely. Well, the president has promised all Americans across the country, and in particular in the Northeast, where we do face much higher costs of electricity and of energy, unfortunately, because of the Democrat policies in the area. From the federal government's perspective, the president and the National Energy Dominance Council, Secretaries Wright and Burgum, are doing all we can when it comes to federal permitting. The drill, baby, drill agenda is obviously underway. The president has made a huge push for more fossil fuels in this country. You look at what he did last week with respect to coal. Coal truly keeps the lights on in this country. We learned that in the recent winter storms. However, there's only so much that can be done at the federal level. That's why the president has called on blue state governors to participate in this energy dominance agenda, including governors in New England and the Northeast, by contacting Governor Hochul directly to get this Constitution pipeline underway. This is not only going to bring down the cost of energy in the Northeast, it's also going to support job growth and energy affordability and more opportunity for workers in the Northeast. And I just have a quick statistic here on energy that I found fascinating, and it's obviously true because I'm saying it up here. Red states with Republican legislatures currently enjoy lower average retail electricity prices than blue states with Democrat legislatures. And that's exactly why the president is calling on all blue state governors across New England and the Northeast to get on board. Let's bring prices down for all Americans, whether they live in a red or a blue state.
So right down the street from your alma mater, San Antonio College, you talk about building an ICE facility that's causing a lot of political agita in New Hampshire, and for the Republican governor, Kelly Ayotte. Seems to be some miscommunications argued on both sides. Even Republican supporters of Trump who live in the town say, we're not sure we want this. What's your message to the folks in New Hampshire about this proposed ICE facility?
The message is that illegal immigration, while the border is secure, is still a problem across our entire homeland. And the previous administration allowed nearly 20 million illegal aliens from countries all over the world into our country. And the president and Secretary Noem have done a phenomenal job at deporting. Nearly 3 million illegals have left the country either through deportation or self-deportation over the past year. But obviously there are a lot more illegal alien criminals left in our homeland. That includes in New England. There are many within our communities in New Hampshire, in Maine, and definitely in Massachusetts and in the Boston suburbs that need to be arrested, detained, and deported back to their home countries. And so the president and Secretary Noem, and I know ICE, are engaged with local governors across the whole country, including in New Hampshire, to open more detention facilities. This is an unfortunate consequence of the previous administration's border invasion that the president has thankfully put a stop to. But of course, we still need to grapple with the illegal alien criminals who are here, and that requires more detention space.
Carolyn Levitt from the White House giving that press briefing. Interesting to hear them say from the podium, you know, these prices are going down. Things are becoming more affordable. And I will tell you that on the YouTube chat, I was watching you guys just commenting along. You guys, in multiple folks on our chat here going, energy prices don't feel like they're going down. You know, gas prices, yes. But the energy, the cost to heat your home, First question out the gate. That reporter's like, prices still feel like they're up. And then she essentially is like, we're working on it.
Well,
we're trying
because of blue state governors is what that question was about.
Well, the follow-up was, yes. But I don't know how you, well, I do know how you can not see it because you hate the man. I understand that. But there have been an enormous amount of ways that prices have come down where through the Biden administration, the skyrocketing of affordability was never a concern. We didn't talk about affordability for 4 years. We didn't care. In fact, if it was even broached as a topic, we were told, this is your patriotic duty. This is what it costs to be green. And it ain't easy. Paying a lot of money.
But if we spend more money and call it the Inflation Reduction Act, then it'll look like we addressed it.
Yeah, super, super honest up front. Not deceitful at all. Wiggins America, a new leftist vocabulary that you may want to know. When we come back, we'll see if we know any of these words. We'll be right back. So, Air Comfort Service, I talked to you about how they have serviced my home, how they have replaced essentially the HVAC system, the units, the furnace, the air conditioner, water heater. They've done an AeroSeal duct sealing in my house to make sure that the air isn't leaking out through the ventilation throughout the course of my home, so it heats and cools the home evenly. All of this residential work that they do, they also are the expert go-to service provider for commercial concerns right now. Call Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation and get a free second opinion on a heat exchanger or compressor repair. They provided this type of service for 57 plus years, so they know what they're doing. They understand the ins and outs of commercial HVAC systems, and they're ready to help you. They're very helpful people. If you're looking at a steep repair bill, if you're questioning a quoted repair, Air Comfort Service wants to take your call at 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. Their trophy case is overflowing with accolades and awards, or you can take my word for it. Just give them a call. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
97.1 FM Talk is proud to support Bourbon for Badges. Mark Cox here. It's hosted by the St. Louis Whiskey Society and the St. Louis Hero Network, February 27th at Tapawingo Golf Club. Get your tickets now at bourbonforbadges.com.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend. That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer Bill of Rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer Bill of Rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer Bill of Rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings, up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Wiggins!
Oh, Wiggins!
I got a bunch of words here that the left has taken as their own. Now, this is just the starter pack. There's a lot more than this, but I think this is a good way to start. And I want to give you the word or phrase and find out whether this is something that you care, like just let them have it, or no, we need to take that back. They're using it wrong. We can all use that word. It's not a leftist word.
Okay.
The first one is the word privilege. It is, according to their definition, a set of unearned benefits that some individuals enjoy and others are denied in their everyday lives.
I don't know. I don't care who owns the word, but they have all the privilege.
Who's they? The left?
The whiny baby leftist
The
progressives.
people coming up with this stuff?
Yeah, the ones who go from 0 to $1 million in a snap of a finger because they don't get their way. They used to be called toddlers, but now we just call them the woke left.
Now we cater to them.
Well, we don't.
Well, so privilege is a word that should not necessarily, in my opinion, be associated with only these kinds of causes.
Do you know any wealthy families of color?
Yeah.
Do you know any poor white people?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Okay. Okay, I didn't know if that was the end. That was all we needed to know.
You'll be thinking about it later tonight, and you'll go,
oh.
Next.
Privilege. All right, next one is being an ally, or even just the word ally.
Have I ever thought of myself as an ally in any capacity?
I think we should take it back to the World War II meaning.
As if we are the Axis?
The new definition is a sincere commitment on the part of a privileged individual to offer ongoing support to individuals, groups, or organizations that oppose that kind of privilege.
Being an ally is surrendering your autonomy as a person to think and feel for yourself, and essentially saying, I hand over my individualism to you to define however you need it because you believe it's strength in numbers.
My gosh, that's a great definition that you just came up with. I did not give you this list ahead of time. That was really good. I'm going to write that down.
No, you're not.
That's the name
You
of the hour.
can't spell those words.
I can't write as fast as you're speaking. I can tell you that.
Maybe you could listen to the podcast when you're making it.
No, thanks. I already lived it.
Been there, done that, not going back.
Check. How about positionality? A practice of acknowledging the specificity of one's social position, especially one's access
Brad.
to privilege.
I'm just asking him to give us more time.
Thank you,
He
Brad.
wasn't. I was landing the plane over here.
Okay.
I don't know the positionality. Is that something that
I don't really know a lot
talked
about.
about? Brad, is that a positionality? Is that a word you hear?
I haven't heard that one in the wild. So
Maybe we've just abdicated ourselves from the wild.
Thank you for saying abdicated.
You're welcome. I got a new roll of toilet paper.
How about this definition? Speaking authoritatively about the ways others are impacted adversely by the operation of privilege.
You nailed that.
That is
sucker.
positionality. I don't hear that word a whole lot, but it's on the list. So we'll just let that one go for now since nobody's using it.
You know what words I hate more is like corporate meeting speak.
There is some of that here.
Triangulate.
Yes.
Synergy.
Collaborate.
I went through a lot of lists and found a lot of that.
Yeah.
I almost did a corporate speak one.
Can we just speak like normal people?
No.
No. Okay.
Especially if it's going out to the whole company.
Gotta sound fancy.
Then it's got to it's just got to be words upon words. All right, folks.
Don't be a jerk.
Folks.
Folks.
It's on the list.
It is not.
It is. It says
Is it just is it a bold-faced word?
Yes. It says it's a term that refers to groups of people in the plural
Have we done a folks poll?
without suggesting that they compromise a singular totality that could be united in one common struggle.
This was written by a professor with too much time on their hands and government funds.
We have not done a folks poll.
Folks.
Folks poll.
People, do you
or a
understand?
folks poll.
Just you be quiet right now. Listen to the Annie Fry Show just for a second. We'll turn it back over to Wiggins America in a moment. I say folks. F-O-A-K-S. I know that's not how it's spelled, but the L isn't the only capital letter in this word. But it is for Ryan. He says folks.
I try to hit it a little harder for you, but in my daily life, I will say folks.
Folks. Isn't it don't you say F-O-A-K-S, like oak tree, folk tree.
No.
It's a folk tale. Folk tale, folk tale.
Like I said before, I went to visit the grave of James K. Polk. Not poke.
I say folks unless it's old. Then
It's not.
old
That's other OLK words are different. It's the English language.
There are lots
we can
of
make
them.
it be whatever we want it to be
Exactly.
and change the rules at any
Indeed.
time.
And you just made my point.
No, I
Next
didn't
one.
make your point. I made my point.
Next one is safe space.
Oh. No, I like safe spaces.
You want to have that for your own.
I want them to congregate in one place.
Go so you.
I want to know where they are.
They can have safe
yeah.
space.
Yeah.
This is the
I'll
attempt
rent it.
to create occasions or locations wherein the adverse effects of privilege on marginalized people are minimized. These are good definitions.
This is barf.
This is definitely the way the left uses this. But are you okay with using safe space in any other context? Do you want to take it back?
My safe space is my car.
See, everybody has a safe space. That's what drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's the doors are locked and nobody can get in.
Yeah, you're just like
there aren't other people in my safe
some
space.
people are having it at their garage.
It's-
Some people it's their room.
It's in my car, in my garage. And I enjoyed that yesterday. Recovering from my migraine, you just sit in the insulation of your car and you just deal with it. And then the windows came down a little bit, and then I got a little fresh breeze in a DoubleTree parking lot in Chesterfield. That's my safe space.
Okay.
It's a really nice
specific.
hotel. I was surprised.
You got to go out to Chesterfield to be safe?
It was awesome. Thanks, Hellbig. Deroy Murdock next.
It's going to continue. Cold weather is going to continue here in St. Louis and Illinois for the foreseeable future to finish out the winter. Now, if you have been unlucky, or you don't want to wait till you're unlucky and you need your furnace fixed or even replaced, call me. We can get you a furnace next day. Sometimes we, depending on the manufacturer, it's not us, but just depending on the manufacturer, if they have the parts available, and here in St. Louis, Illinois, we can get you that day. But either way, if you're having problems with your furnace or you want to prevent problems with your furnace, call me, Bart Inman. One easy number, the easiest number in Missouri and Illinois, just one number. That number is 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600, or on the internet, it's Bart Inman. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777. Won't say how much time Iran has. Lisa Brady, Fox News. But military action remains on the table after the latest round of talks on Iran's nuclear program.
The president has always been very clear, though, with respect to Iran or any country around the world. Diplomacy is always his first option, and Iran would be very wise to make a deal with President Trump and with this administration.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the two sides remain far apart on some issues, but more talks are expected, mediated by Oman. Leavitt also says the president wants the government to be open as a Homeland Security funding shutdown continues over Democrat demands for immigration enforcement reforms. The White House calls the latest offer from Democrats not serious. Democrats say the White House needs to accept more changes. A billionaire, former friend of Jeffrey Epstein, is giving a deposition to the House Oversight Committee.
Staff attorneys went to the home of 88-year-old billionaire Les Wexner to take his deposition in New Albany, Ohio. Fox News Digital obtained his opening statement in which Wexner said he's pleased to testify to set the record straight, that he's been the subject of outrageous and untrue statements, but also that his heart goes out to the survivors of Epstein's crimes. Now, as far as his relationship with Epstein, Wexner said he didn't socialize with him, but hired Epstein and gave him power of attorney over financial matters as Wexner's retail empire grew. However, as Epstein's legal troubles grew in 2007, Wexner and his wife found Epstein had been stealing from them, and they cut ties nearly 20 years ago. Wexner said Epstein was a con man, and he regrets ever having met him.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal, the committee chair, has said video and a transcript of the testimony will be made public. Rescue crews facing another day of treacherous conditions in their search for 9 backcountry skiers missing after an avalanche in the mountains near Lake Tahoe in California. 6 others were found alive, rescued yesterday. Heavy snow and the threat of additional avalanches continues to slow that rescue effort. America is listening to Fox News.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly to mostly sunny skies this afternoon. Windy from the south. 72 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 49. Thursday, partly sunny. Cold front coming in, swinging the winds to the northwest in the afternoon on Thursday with a fast batch of scattered showers and possible thunderstorms. Windy and 73, but dropping temperatures during the afternoon. 38 Thursday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for HVAC services, aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For the sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
We've got to be very clear about the talking filibuster. The talking filibuster is different than nuking the filibuster. The talking filibuster simply involves making people speak. Go to the Senate floor, stand up, seek recognition, and speak to filibuster. Filibustering is something that shouldn't be done in one's sleep or while vacationing or while attending the Munich Security Conference. Filibustering is something that should be done in the Senate, on the Senate floor, with people standing up and speaking. We've gotten lax with that, but the Senate rules allow for us to enforce the talking filibuster. If they want to filibuster, make them stand, make them speak. This is the best path, I believe, to getting the Save America Act passed out of the United States Senate onto the president's desk so that President Trump can sign it into law.
Possibly the greatest champion in the Senate of the SAVE Act. You're listening to Senator Mike Lee talk about the standing filibuster, and we're going to talk to our friend Deroy Murdock about it now as well. With the piece in The Spectator, Save the SAVE Act, Sunset the Filibuster. Nationally syndicated columnist, Project 21 ambassador, and Fox News contributor, Deroy Murdock. Welcome back to the show, Deroy.
Annie, great to be with you again.
Thank you so much. You know, this has been something that has been gaining kind of a snowball's momentum here for quite some time, and it seems as though, I think the last number I heard was 50 co-sponsors of the SAVE Act in the Senate. What do you think happened next?
Well, I believe Susan Collins is the last one to get on board, so that puts us at 50. So assuming that there is a vote, and the vote is 50-50, and there's a split, and J.D. Vance is able to break the tie, then it goes to President Trump's desk for signature. So I hope that it gets that far. Of course, the the Democrats are all set on filibustering this thing, and my view is that we need to get past the filibuster. I think it did a great job for many years, and I would be for keeping the filibuster if we had the old Democrat Party of people like Joe Lieberman and Daniel Patrick Moynihan and John Breaux and Mary Landrieu and folks like this. In their view, I think these people were obviously big liberals, but they weren't crazy, and they would have thought, well, let's keep the filibuster because if Republicans take over, they might, we expect them to keep it. And there was sort of a mutual assured destruction, if you will, that kept the thing alive. But I think that party's gone. The centrist, moderate, reasonable wing of the Democrat Party's history. And the Democrat Party's evolved into something, or I should say devolved into something completely out of control. I mean, this is basically a culturally Marxist party. This is the same group of people who basically egged on the George Floyd rioters. These are the people who largely embrace Hamas. These are the folks who are all dedicated to the whole transgender program, including puberty blockers and little girls having their breasts removed, little boys having their penises removed, and this kind of thing. And this is not a reasonable party anymore. I do not trust these folks whatsoever to keep the filibuster if they get a majority in the Senate again, which, God forbid, could happen as soon as November. I hope it never happens again, but it could happen this year, could happen this fall. And I think the first thing they're going to do is just scrap the filibuster. They'll get rid of this thing as soon as they can. And then I think they'll be very busy doing things like trying to get Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. as states. I think they're probably going to try to get the U.S. Virgin Islands and other territories as states. They're going to try to pack the Supreme Court and basically do all kinds of stuff that will drive you and me and our listeners right up the wall. So I see this whole thing a bit like having two people sitting at a table. There's a loaded Glock on the table, and whoever grabs the Glock is going to be in charge. And we can sit here and be polite and nice and genteel, as if we're playing croquet, and say, well, we don't want to grab the Glock because we know you'll never grab the Glock. Well, guess what? They're going to grab the Glock. So either we sit around and let them grab it and then they bark orders at us, or we do it now while we're in control of the Senate. We take the Glock out of their reach. We put it in a holster. I'm not saying we need to shoot anybody. To keep it in the holster. Let people see it. People have a funny way of behaving themselves when they know the other guy is armed without anybody having to touch a weapon, and you'll get a very different result than waiting for Chuck Schumer to be majority leader again and lead the Democrats into chunking the filibuster and then pushing through everything they want, and God forbid having a President Gavin Newsom or whoever it may be sign that stuff into law. Yikes, indeed.
Don't say that. Deroy Murdock speaking with us.
Or Gretchen Whitmer, take your pick.
I don't know.
Or President Pritzker. I mean, they're
okay. Now you're offending me. Now as an Illinois resident. Don't do that to me, please.
Don't do
I was thinking to liberate Illinois, but delivering the country into the hands of Pritzker, we're cooked.
That's not good.
Deroy Murdock, I'm reading through your piece here in The Spectator, and you highlight some of these statistics that you're talking about. 76% of blacks, 82% of Hispanics support voter ID. 83% of Americans, 95% of Republicans, 71% of Democrats. Chuck Schumer's line, I don't know if it's poll tested or whatever, my theory is that he likes things that just rhyme. Jim Crow 2.0. Deroy, this is radio. People might not know that you're a black man. When you hear him say Jim Crow 2.0 for the SAVE Act, and then I hear you say that you support the SAVE Act, I'm in conflict. Deroy, I don't understand.
Yeah, there is no conflict there, and I got to tell you, as a black man, I'm deeply offended when Chuck Schumer says, "Oh, this is Jim Crow 2.0." Look, the idea of asking black people and white people and Hispanics and everybody, when you go to the polls, you got to show photo ID. That is a lot different from Jim Crow 1.0, which was, oh, you're black, you need to sit in the back of the bus. You're black, you get to drink out of this crummy water fountain. You're black, we're going to tie you to a tree and kill you. This is what Jim Crow 1.0 meant. And the idea that people have to show photo ID, when in particular you've got 76% of black people saying that's okay with us, is deeply, deeply deeply offensive. It would be, I think, equally offensive when Jewish people hear anytime Trump shows up, oh, look, it's Hitler. There are people who had their parents and grandparents and other relatives sent up smokestacks by Adolf Hitler. And I'm guessing they probably may not like hearing the comparison between Trump, even if you dislike him and don't like his program. He's not rounding up people and putting them in a crematoria. Let's at least give him that, okay? So I think it's deeply insensitive and deeply insulting when Schumer compares people having to show photo ID at the polls to the reality of segregation in the Jim Crow South. The other thing that to me that's kind of ironic and kind of tragicomic, I suppose, about all this is that, if you don't like Jim Crow 1.0, you know who you blame for that? The Democrat Party. You look at Orville Faubus, you look at George Wallace, you look at Bull Connor, all these terrible people who oppressed blacks throughout the segregated era before the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Those are all Democrats. Democrats wrote, sponsored, passed and signed the Jim Crow laws. That was a Democrat Party project. The Republicans tried to stop it before Reconstruction. The Democrats took over the South, and they're the ones who implemented Jim Crow. So if Chuck Schumer doesn't like Jim Crow 1.0, which I assume is why he calls this thing 2.0, if he didn't like Jim Crow, he needs to look at America as his party are the ones who crafted and operated and managed that entire system of oppression in the South. That was done by the Democrat Party, not the Republican Party.
Well, Deroy Murdock, you've completely dismantled his Jim Crow 2.0 position on the SAVE Act. But here's another question. Do you think that Chuck Schumer knows all of the stuff that you just said? Does the Senate Minority Leader completely understand everything Deroy Murdock just explained to us about who actually was responsible for the original Jim Crow, and that it is a racist, soft bigotry of low expectations to suggest that the SAVE Act would somehow be racist because persons of color would have a harder time getting a voter ID? Does he know all of this stuff is, as we say on the show, bologna sausage, and he's just pushing it out there because it's easy, simple, and it'll get enough support? Or is he that dumb?
He's not that dumb. Look, I'm not a big fan of Chuck Schumer, but, he's not an idiot. He has a law degree. He's been in office for pretty much his entire life. He's a sentient human being. I'm sure he studied American history. So he knows very well that Jim Crow is run by Democrats. He's not an idiot. If he were some, 18 or 19-year-old kid or something, I'd say, well, he doesn't know any better. Yet Chuck Schumer knows better, which makes this, again, even more egregious and even more disgusting. He doesn't have the excuse of saying, oh, I'm ignorant. Gee, I haven't taken American history class. I didn't know that. He knows very well. So for him to have that background and still on top of that, with the knowledge that this was a Democrat-run system of oppression, and then turn around and try to slap that on Republicans, he knows very well what he's doing, which makes what he's doing even more insidious. But he feels that there are enough people who don't know the historical background and think, oh, Jim Crow, that was a Republican effort. It was not. It was a Democrat effort. And I think he's basically counting on I imagine the historical ignorance of some Americans to believe that, as well as just sheer outright demagoguery. So what you say makes him makes his behavior and his remarks even more vile than they were if he were ignorant of this, which I don't think he is.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I value your perspective on this issue specifically because, Deroy, I'm thinking about Chuck Schumer. He's pretty much at the top of the Democrat Party right now. He's probably the highest-ranking Democrat, I guess, in elected office, especially federally. But that really splinters into the movement and the people who support the Democrat Party, who we see showing up in, streets of Minneapolis or over 10 years ago, the streets of Ferguson. The people, the agitators who really want to divide first, foremost, and only on race, because it has been enough to divide on race for the Democrats to get what they want. Is there any sort of policy? Are you hearing any Democrats argue against the SAVE Act because of policy, or is it just this sort of demographical, race divisive activity that they've been leaning on for the last decade or so?
I'd say it's probably about 95% what you just said. It's racial demagoguery. It's racial division, which is the ugliest kind because it very often leads to violence. And these people know better than that. I do think they raised a somewhat legitimate point when they said, look, some people might have trouble getting birth certificates to prove their citizenship. Okay. And I was actually concerned that this could be a potential problem if people, my birth certificate's at my mom's attic and, I live in New York and she's in California, or it's in my grandma's basement and she's in Florida in Boca Raton and I live in Spokane, Washington. Okay. How am I going to get my birth certificate? You know what? I just discovered I went online and I just said, can I please find me my birth certificate? And guess what? I didn't know this. There are multiple websites where you can go in, put in your name, city of birth, date of birth, and you can order your birth certificate online. And you can pay. It varies from like about $25 up to like $125 or $130, depending on which service you use, and you can have it mailed to you. Okay, so given that, if people need to get birth certificates and they can't afford them, it's very simple. Each of these companies should have a coupon code, and the coupon code should be available for your registrar of voters. You put that in, and guess what? You get it for free. And if that means the federal government has to reimburse these companies or reimburse the states for this or whatever, I'm perfectly okay. That is a legitimate use of government money. Another way that might speed this up is rather than people themselves having to get their birth certificates, we could empower registrars of voters to go on these websites, get the birth certificates that way, and they can, when you register to vote, they can determine whether or not you are a citizen. I'm sure there's some way we can get Elon Musk or some of these brilliant guys and gals from Silicon Valley just to figure out some way we can have some central birth certificate database, whatever, that can be accessed by registrars of voters. We can determine if people are citizens, and if they are citizens, they can register to vote, and they can vote in the next election. And if they are not, then they can't do so because they're not U.S. citizens. And the birth certificate thing, by the way, this is somewhere where the Democrats are lying. They say, if you don't have a birth certificate, you can't go vote. You can't register as a new voter unless you show your birth certificate if the SAVE Act passes. If you are like you and me and probably most of our listeners, already voting, you don't have to worry about it because you're already registered. So if you're voting now, you don't have to worry about it. If you become a new registrant, either moving and you've got to register in another state or something, or if you're voting for the first time and registering for the first time, then you'll have to find your birth certificate. But if you're already voting now, if you voted in the last election and haven't moved away, you don't have anything to worry about. You'll be able to vote in the midterms or whatever other elections may pop up.
I had an idea. I don't even know if you could do this, but maybe they should pass within the SAVE Act a way that when you file your taxes, did you buy a birth certificate to prove citizenship? You could check a box and get a tax credit for whatever the federal cost of a birth certificate is. So then people can get reimbursed if they file taxes.
That is a great idea. Absolutely. So you don't get the money right away, but you can take it off your taxes the next time. That's brilliant. I'm writing about this. I will suggest that idea and credit you for it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If it's a dumb idea, tell them you don't know who I am.
If it's a dumb idea, I never heard from Andy Fry.
That's right. Exactly. Thank you so much, Deroy. It's always good to have you with us. Hopefully the SAVE Act thing gets done. And I want to see a standing filibuster by the Democrats. I'm kind of popcorn ready for that.
There you go. Very good. All right, Andy. Great talking to you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Man, what if isn't that a good idea? You weren't listening.
No, I was listening. I just was trying to come up with a reason to disagree.
You know how I know he wasn't listening? Because he was down looking at something, and I looked at him and I go, isn't that a good idea? And he goes, yeah.
I can't find a reason why it's a bad idea.
If you were to say, like, I've had to go do the marriage certificate thing. I've had to do the birth certificate thing. I've had to go do the real ID thing, which I hated that process. I was angry at that process, and I was super late to the game. People are like, Andy, you've been known, it's been like 20 years or something that real ID is
delaying it.
But I didn't have I had to go to Hawaii. So a real ID was between me and Hawaii. Did I put it off? Yes. Did I think I didn't need to take it seriously? Yes, because they kept saying, maybe later. But I've had to go through that whole process. I've had to change my name. It's a pain in the butt. But what if you have you filed your taxes yet this year?
No.
Have you guys?
Not yet.
Well, I mean, educators, like, did you spend a certain amount of money on your taxes? Yes, you have
Every
receipts
year.
or whatever. Check. Okay, you get reimbursed for that. Did you purchase a birth certificate for the purpose of registering to vote? Yes or no? Yes. And then if you did, then you get, it's like $10, $15, maybe $20 for the first one, 10 for this. Figure out the cost of a birth certificate, make it universal federally, and then say, did you purchase that? And then you check yes. And then if you file your taxes, you will get reimbursed.
I'm just trying to figure out why the federal government doesn't just send us a birth certificate whenever we want one.
I have thoughts on that. Yeah, that makes me mad.
Exactly.
Especially when you have all these dang kids.
Yeah. Just send me a birth certificate. I shouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah. If I
already
go
pay
get birth
taxes.
certificates for everybody in my family, it's like $120.
Yeah.
What? Where
Yeah.
does that money go?
Marriage certificates, all that stuff.
Mhm.
You're like, this is your job. That's all you do in this office.
The last time I went to get a birth certificate for something, I think it was like school or something, I don't know, it was within the last year or two, for a kid, I was like, Jared, we're finding all of our documents and we're putting them all together. We've got them in our safe place. I ordered one of everything we didn't have, a duplicate of a marriage certificate, just so that we had it all. Because it is such a PITA to go get that stuff. It costs money. It makes you mad. I'm like, let's just be mad one time and unload all of our money to the county clerk right now.
And you're almost always getting one because the government told you have to have one for a reason.
Why-
Oh, by the way, and you got to pay for it.
Why don't they go get it?
Yeah, exactly.
You get a copy
Yeah.
of it, and you get a copy of it, and you get a copy of it.
Everybody gets a copy of my
and
birth certificate.
I don't have to pay for it in addition to my taxpayer dollars that I'm already paying. All right. Let's take a quick break, even a quicker break. All right. Brad.
Whoa.
Oh, the Retirement Advisory Group last night, a wonderful evening, as I was talking about before, at the DoubleTree in Chesterfield for their latest Protecting Your Retirement event. It was so great to meet so many people and to talk to you about your lives and where you are in retirement. A few people that were there, mid-50s, you've got retirement on the brain, but you know that it is a little bit further away than right now. Some of you were retired that I talked to, but you went to listen to what the Kershaws have to say, what the Retirement Advisory Group has to say, which was a really smart move because that event is free. We'll have another one coming up soon. I'll give you those details. But you don't have to wait for the next event in order to meet with the Retirement Advisory Group. You can schedule a free, no cost, no obligation review of your retirement right now when you call 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. The Retirement Advisory Group wants to help you establish a personalized structured income plan catered to you. So give them a call, set up that appointment, tell them Annie said hello. You can find them online at retirementkey.com.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health From Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health from Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill, or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
Most people spend decades saving for retirement, but few ever learn how to turn those savings into lasting income. And that's where Financial and Tax Architects comes in. They help people across St. Louis work to protect their life savings, minimize taxes, and retire with confidence. Now, they do a Retirement Planning 101 class, and it shows you exactly what others often miss: how to avoid hidden tax traps in your 401k or IRA, and how to make smarter decisions about Social Security. Now, this is a one-night, 2.5-hour, no-cost educational event. Seats fill up fast. And at FTA, they like to say that financial peace of mind in retirement is all about income. Lose the job and keep the paycheck. That's exactly what FTA will help you do. So if you're within 10 years of retirement or already retired, you can't afford to miss it. Call 314-888-5101 or go to fta-ria.com and reserve your seat now.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Annie Fry is St. Louis conservative.
Molly sings this song. When Molly sings a song that's popular, it's like at minimum 50% of the words are not the actual words that are being sung. She just hears it, but she knows this. She knows the song. She likes to sing. Molly is 4. She has a vibrato to her voice. I don't understand it.
Yeah, that's not common for a kid.
No, I'm like, maybe she is a phenom. Maybe she's a freak. I don't know what it is, but she likes to sing, and she kind of has this vibrato thing that she does. That's an actual vibrato. I don't understand it.
It is one of the most precious things when a little kid about that age sings a song at all loudly and with enthusiasm. But when it's a Christian song, you're like, oh,
yeah,
that's the best.
Yeah, she's got a soul full of spirit, that's for sure. We're talking with the YouTube poll today. Should government regulate age of access to social media? Australia has a age of 16. Now, I don't look to Australia and government regulation to be like, what are they doing over there? Let's do that. That's not really
They're nailing it.
a common thing. Plus, they have really big spiders.
Yeah, and that's the government's fault.
I would blame them.
I would blame
It's two
the
things
government
I
for
hate.
everything.
Spiders and government. Especially government-regulated spiders. Those are the worst. They're kind of snooty. There is a twofold. I think that this is something that seems on the surface like, well, the parents need to fix it or the government needs to fix it. I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's going to be that easy. But I do think that I really feel like the greatest failing of our generation as parents is our lack of restriction of access to the internet, also social media for our kids.
I approach this question, the YouTube live chat poll question of the day, differently than, it's the government's problem or it's the parents' problem. Should the government regulate the age of access to social media? I think that I'm torn between, should this be the government problem or should this be the corporation's problem? I can't.
Well, what do you mean by
I can't decide which one I trust less. The corporations running these things or the government to monitor those corporations?
So
it makes it a hard question.
The question at hand in the trial that is taking place in California right now, and Mark Zuckerberg is taking the stand today in this trial, it's surrounding, I think there are a few families that are involved where a child took their life. And the blame is being put on these platforms for being intentionally addictive to, hey, Brad, I don't know. Can you, while I'm talking here, can you cue up this woman and so we can listen to her because it's happening live right now. I'd like to hear what she has to say. Intentionally addictive. So what basically, if a corporation is being a predator of your child, that should not be allowed to happen.
Right.
Now, there are two things that can regulate that. This is the great divide, folks. This is the question that we ask in all things. Can the free market regulate it? If the free market does not regulate it, then the government steps in to regulate it. The free market is not regulating it.
Not for kids.
Well, it shouldn't necessarily have to regulate it for adults.
Right.
Does Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, there are other ones that people use and talk on and communicate with, are they intentionally created to captivate the mind of a child and keep them there in a situation where a child's innocence and inexperience and all of that is that they're being preyed upon? I can't think of a better word than predator. I can't think of a better word or a better concept than there is a vulnerability to a child that exists. And adults, specifically the parents, the caretakers, the guardians, your responsibility is to protect your child from predators. I do think that there is essentially going to have to be some middle ground where the government, I do not want the government, I'm a no on this, on the poll. The poll is, should government regulate age of access to social media? I'm a no. But I don't want the government to regulate what happens in my home. We have to put the pressure on parents to step in and say, this isn't good for you. Social media, like, they're addicted to it. We're addicted to it. I'm addicted to it. I'll lay in bed. I can't sleep. My phone is, I will physically put my phone out of reach and I will lay there for 20 minutes. And all I can think about is the things that I could be Googling or searching or learning or asking. You ever see that meme where it's like me through the day and it just shows that you're dragging and you're so tired of everything? Me at 3 a.m., you're Googling like, how tall was Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
That type of stuff. I know that I have a problem with this. And when we put that device in the hands of a child, we're putting them in the same danger zone that we're in as adults, but we have an independence and a maturity where it's on us to protect ourselves. Children don't have that. And this is just talking about the addictive nature of it. We're not even talking about how they treat one another on it. Don't get me started. Do you have that ready? Can we listen to that? All right, let's listen. This is Deb Schmill. Is that correct? Yes. Deb Schmill, she lost a child?
Yeah, to drugs.
You want to turn the microphone on?
Jeez. Yeah, she lost a
Just
child.
Yell real loud, Brad.
She bought her child got the drugs online and she lost her child to that.
Okay, let's listen to Deb Schmill talking to John Roberts.
Thank you.
So let me just preface this for folks at home by saying that your daughter Becca had a long downward spiral with social media. My understanding is that she was raped by a boy that she met in a group chat. She was later bullied on Snapchat. She turned to drugs to try to ease the pain somehow. And then it culminated back in 2020 when she purchased fentanyl-laced cocaine from somebody that she met on Facebook, which ultimately led to the tragedy of her death. So
Yes.
what's in your mind as Mark Zuckerberg takes the stand today?
Well, it's, a historic moment. It's time for this man to actually face the music. He's gone for too long without any accountability. And my daughter is not such an unusual case. I mean, she's maybe a little unusual because so many different things happen to her online, but there are just hundreds of thousands of kids who are being harmed every day online. And this man, Mark Zuckerberg, he knows it. He's known it. He purposely has his product designed to addict children. When he finds out that that a feature harms kids, he says, let's just keep going with it. Don't change it. He could change everything in an instant and be protecting his users, but he chooses not to. And it just can't continue.
So you've got this woman saying that she just kind of mentioned there's a copious amount of things that happen to her. And listen, I'm a parent, and really one of those questions in the X's and Y's we did the other day, I think Brad asked, is like, what do you worry about? I just worry about my kids all the time. And I have maybe a bit of an over-analytical mind, so I'm imagining a million scenarios of things that I need to protect my child from. I don't think it was Mark Zuckerberg's job to intervene in the troubles that daughter was having. There has to be a responsibility within the home to parent in those situations in a way that protects your child. But if the coping mechanism for a child is to strictly go to their phone, like you have to think, isn't that in and of itself a problem? Like if a child is distraught, in despair, depressed, and their go-to place is that phone, as a parent, aren't you thinking immediately, like, what's on that phone that makes them feel noticed? And as a parent, you need to make sure that that's healthy for them. It's never going to be healthy for them. The phone can't be that place. That addictive mentality that is seeded into social media, is it intentional? Is it for profit for these companies? That's the question that this court case is going to answer. But we cannot remove the responsibility of parents to, like a hawk, oversee what your children are doing on the internet, on their social media apps. Don't give them social media apps. Make sure that they're in a position where they can, if they do have them, they're supervised. Super supervised. Like you're almost permitting them to see your social media. That's the way I think of it. I want to take phone calls from you. If you're a parent, if you're listening and you're a kid and you were regulated, not regulated, if you are a parent or maybe a grandparent who remembers giving your child a phone and access to social media, how did you handle it? What did you do that you really are glad that you did? What are your regrets? I would love to hear conversation from you on your perspectives on this, advice that you have for me, for my kids. Ryan's kids are coming of age here, but you haven't cracked that egg yet. Call us at 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797. One more time, 314-241-9797. Let's talk about this YouTube poll question. Should government regulate age of access to social media? And things that you wish you would have known, things you did that you are glad you did. Would love to hear all of it. 314-241-9797. You can text us there as well. Back in a minute.
Chesterfield, where luxury meets comfort. Mark Cox here. They have a great selection of rare bourbons, whiskeys, craft cocktails, anything you like to drink, cold beer, premium hand-rolled cigars from the finest makers in the world, even private lockers that are available if you choose to. Perfect for date nights or business meetings, and live music every Friday night. Family owned and operated. Check them out in Chesterfield at the District. It's litstl.com.
Men need a clinic that accepts all insurance. Medical Center in St. Peter's does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at De Pere, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, it's good to see you.
2 sounds that can wreck your sleep. A drip and a toilet that won't stop running.
Drip, drip, all night.
Good news. We're doing plumbing now. Same folks, same care, same we do it right.
Leaky faucet, running toilet.
Or a stubborn clog, call Grasser.
Electric and plumbing, the Grasser way.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
February is the month of love, and this year it's time to fall in love with your home again. Imagine warmer rooms, quieter mornings, and cozier spaces you actually enjoy spending time in. At Renewal by Andersen, we don't believe all windows are created equal. Our exclusive Fibrex material is stronger than vinyl, resists warping in extreme temperatures, and delivers superior insulation, helping your home stay comfortable, quiet, and energy efficient all winter long. That means fewer drafts, less outside noise, and a home that simply feels better. And because Renewal by Andersen handles everything, from custom design to professional installation, you get a seamless experience and results you'll love for years to come. Right now, for a limited time, buy 1 window or door and get 1 window or door 40% off. Plus, enjoy 18 months with no money down, no interest, and no payments. This February, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Call 877-WINDOWS or visit renewalbyandersen.com today. Renewal by Andersen. Superior products, exceptional service.
We're taking calls on this subject right now. Should government regulate age of access to social media? Let us know what you think by calling 314-241-9797 or by texting 314-241-9797. 9797. This time check, it's 141. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
From Troy, Missouri to Troy, Illinois. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. In California, we have a court case unfolding right now. Mark Zuckerberg is taking the stand to discuss whether or not Meta is intentionally made to be addictive, specifically to children, after families have sued Meta and Google, among other places, regarding the addictive capacity of those platforms. We've got a few phone calls I want to take here, including text messages we might get to here in a minute with Ryan. If you want to call us or text us, number is the same, to talk to us about giving kids cell phones, social media, the whole 9 yards. 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797. We'll start with Philip. Philip, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. Appreciate you reaching out to us.
Well, thank you very much. I saw something that, Annie, as a mother of boys and girls, you'll love this.
Okay.
This is proof that cell phones are addictive. I recently saw a group of 4 teenage boys, all of them on phones. An attractive girl walks by, only one looks up. He goes back to his phone within 1 second. In my mind, that says that cell phone addiction is stronger than teenage boy hormones.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good for the future of the population.
And I think parents, when they approach their kids with this, they can't say this is a cell phone. They have to pull it out and say, this is an addiction.
Yeah.
There are some things on it that are good. There are other things that are bad. Now, how are we going to manage this addiction?
Yeah, I think so. And it has to happen within the home before the government's going to solve anything.
But they can't do anything.
Philip, thank you for listening. Thanks for calling us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye. Mike, real quick, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. Your thoughts on this government regulation of social media and also parenting, phones, internet, social media, the whole 9 yards.
Good afternoon. I am 100% for them regulating. I'm not sure how that can technically be pulled off because there's just too many ways to get around it. But I'm a Gen X dad. I'm 58 years old. My oldest son is 30. My youngest son is 25. But when they were in high school, they were not allowed to have a cell phone until they were 16 and able to drive.
Yeah.
And then they had a flip phone, which was call and text. That's all you could do. You couldn't get on the internet.
Were they left out because of that? Were they in the few that were restricted in that way?
They were, and I was called the mean dad and the mean mom, my wife. But to this day, they thank us for raising us that way.
Really?
And they all played sports and stuff, and they would say, well, what if I need to get a hold of you? I said, well, all your other friends have phones. Use their phone and call me. I had a niece who didn't have those restrictions. And she actually got involved in a pornography scam with another student at school who broke up with a girl from another school. And there was some photos he had of her and passed it around, and kids are kids, and passed around a photo. But the police came to the school and were interviewing students, and some of them were threatened to have prosecution against them. That's how serious it was.
Yeah. That type of storyline that happens so often. There are so many people listening right now who have a story just like that, like your niece, and it's so tragic. These kids are too young to be dealing with that stuff. Mike, thanks for being a mean dad along with this mean mom. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Take
Gen
care.
X rules.
Gen X rules. Okay. Well, I'm not one of you. But you don't care. Isn't that the...
Gen X doesn't care.
Gen X doesn't care. I'm going to go to therapy about it as a millennial and have a safe space. No, none of that is true. I don't know what kind of caricature millennials have, but we know that Gen X, they don't care. All right, let's get to the next call. I'm excited to talk to Matt. Matt is Home Shield, Matt, and he's listening, and he's going to talk to us. He's got 4 kids just like I do. Matt, thanks for calling the show. What are your thoughts on this topic?
Annie, so man, I could talk for hours about this one. So yeah. I truly think it's a much longer conversation. We've got 4 kids. They range from 13 to 21, and it's difficult for me to talk to about this because every one of my kids has had something happen to them regarding social media and having the phone in general. But talked about my 18-year-old son right now. It's giving me even a little chills just talking about this. But when he was 16, he was extorted for money on Instagram because someone took a picture of him and used AI to recreate a sexual image of him and another boy. And, they got a little money out of him before he came to me, and then he finally broke down and came to me, and I'm so thankful that he did.
Yes.
And, we deleted his account. We started over. And what frustrated me the most about social media and the phones, Annie, is that these kids truly have to have it to have a social life.
Mm-hmm.
These kids do not answer text messages to each other. They have hundreds and hundreds of unread text messages. But if you Snapchat them, I'm talking it is instant.
Yep.
They will instantly get back to you. And so Matthew, my son, which we held out, I believe, as long as we physically could. I mean, even our church, said, okay, make sure you follow us on Instagram so you can get all the updates about this weekend's camp activities. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And none of my kids had Instagram. This is going to Dayton when she was 15.
Yeah.
And if I could do this all over again, I'd never give them a cell phone until they left my house.
Really?
And I don't know how we would function my wife probably is listening and rolling her eyes a little bit, but this has impacted us at home so hard. It seems like there's always arguments about, because we don't allow phones in the bedrooms. We don't allow them to go upstairs, so they have to be charged in the charging station.
Same.
And my 18-year-old son, he's like, Dad, I'm 18. I'm a man now. Let me, do this. And I'm like, okay, you're a man. You got to pay taxes, get a job, get out of my house, all that stuff, right? Go down the list. I'm like, this is the rule of our household. And I even think that we're like the extreme parents. There's a lot of parents out there that just let their kids willy-nilly, and those things are demons.
No restrictions.
With pornography.
Yes.
No restrictions and all that. We try to do all the restrictions, but these darn kids are smart. And there's apps that you can bypass these restrictions and hide things. Like it has become like a very, it is very difficult to be a parent in general, but then to have to deal with this darn cell phone and then the iPad. Got to have an iPad for school. Oh, okay. So I've got to deal with the restrictions on that. So I got 3 kids with iPads for school, and I got one that comes home from dance, competition, because she's a competitive dancer, late at night, and it's at 9:30 at night. She's like, I've got homework to do. So she has to take the dang iPad to her room, and then I've got to stay up till 11 o'clock to make sure I go yank that thing back out. It is truly difficult. But if I had to do it all over again, I'd get that phone I saw, that a couple numbers, and they would hate me. They would probably have no social life, and that's difficult. But
I think you were talking a little bit there, and I had cut you off the first time. I apologize for that, Matt. But the what is there and what is seeking your child out, especially if that device makes it into their room, none of that happens in our house either. And will they sneak it in there? They could try. I don't know, but I'm parenting it as much as I possibly can, but that social media reach, that connection, that social life that exists, that is how they sit around together in groups and they talk to each other on their phones. It's just all they do. It's the whole 9 yards for these kids.
I'm right there with you. And so we have a rule, when all the girls and everybody comes out, or the boys or whatever, whoever's having a party or a gathering or anything that's our house. We have a pool and stuff, so they like to come out and hang out, and it's kind of like our house is a destination for a few kids. I've got this basket. I take every single cell phone.
Yeah.
And if a kid won't give me their cell phone on entering my house, I politely ask them that they have to leave. They can't come in.
It's the rules. Them's the rules.
And you know what they do for like the first 20, 30 minutes? They don't know really how to reconnect with each other.
Walk around and run into the walls.
It's very interesting to watch. Yeah, like
what do I do?
they're
How do I
hanging
do
out.
this?
I'm like, no. Yeah, go hang out. Go be kids, right? And whenever they have sleepovers or anything like that, we take them. It hands down. If that kid's parent needs to get a hold of me, they got my number.
Yeah.
Whatever. You can communicate. You got to come back down to the living room, because it happened one time, but I watched 8 girls sit in a circle on their darn phones.
Yeah.
Ballooning, no social skills and all that. But it's a dark place, and I feel like there's so much more to talk about here, and true life experiences. And my wife, Blair, right?
Yeah.
She's got all of this in her mind constantly, about how do we manage all this. And it is a very difficult thing for a parent to do in today's world, when there's so much peer pressure. You'll never know about the party if you don't have Snapchat. You'll never know what's going on. You can't get recruited to play football if you don't have a Twitter account.
Get an Instagram for baseball. Yep.
Or an Instagram. So you can't get recruited on a dance team if you don't have Instagram. Yeah. And so you have to start the journey for a dancer at 8th grade. So it's a struggle that we've morphed into this culture, and it's what's acceptable now by society, that we have to have social media and these phones, and then I don't know, I don't have any data to back this up, that they're specifically targeting kids for specific reasons, but I know that there are algorithms and there are things that we're saying. Like if I talk about chocolates right now, and I got to get my wife some chocolates for her birthday, on my meta feed, I'm going to see chocolates.
Mm-hmm.
You know you will.
Yeah.
Because there's settings on your phone that you agreed to that they will listen to what you were saying when your phone is on.
Matt, thank you for sharing some of that story. I know we've talked about that situation with your son before, and it's just like the realities of what parents have to deal with trying to help protect their kids right now. It's just unlike anything that we've had to deal with before. We'll have you come back in sometime. We'll talk more about it.
Anytime, Annie. We'll see you later. Have a good day.
Yep, you too. Thank you so much. That's Matt Hayes. You want to talk about good foundations?
I see what you did.
Thank you. I'm not lying.
Yeah, you did a good job.
It's one of the reasons why I really like him and his wife Blair, because they do have 4 kids. Their kids are just like shifting a little bit older than mine, but it is a struggle to parent in a world where everything is going against your kid. I don't know that, like, is 2026 different than 1956? I mean, every different decade has their own different struggles. If you believe we are not of this world, then you're going to understand why the world is always out to get you. It's just really dark. It's super dark.
Well, it's definitely darker now.
Well, that was
the
Matt
technology's worse.
That was Matt Hayes with Home Shield Foundation Repair. Not a planned conversation, but a real one for sure. You said you had, if you want to text us your thoughts, if you didn't get in on the phone call, it's 314-241-9797. You had a text?
Yeah, this text just came in. It says, my granddaughter thought she needed to lose weight, and she found somebody on some platform who was anorexic. And from that girl, I'm assuming she started following that girl, she learned how to throw up the majority of her food. She almost looked like a skeleton, unfortunately, but she doesn't do that anymore. So this whole journey happened because her granddaughter thought in that moment, I need to lose weight. So she just found somebody to tether to online.
Yeah.
And said, well, this person's losing weight, and she just taught me how to throw up.
And in the process of doing that, that person has a channel that is monetized. This person is putting out this content that people are seeking out. They are making money off of this type of content. Off of children.
Another text just came in and said, I'm with Matt. If I could do it all over again, I would have never given my kids a phone. Even if you take it away as punishment, they'll figure out how to get around it, whatever they're into.
Yeah. 100%. Keep sending us your text messages. We've got a lot of comments on the YouTube chat as well. These are 2 separate conversations: parenting, what to do with phones, what to do with social media, all of that. But in addition to it right now, would you like to see the government regulate the age of access to social media? You want the government to step in and say, listen, not until you're 16. Phones, yes. Contact your parents via text and phone call, fine. But social media, getting on Facebook, getting on Instagram, getting on TikTok, Snapchat, the whole 9 yards. 3rd time I've said that phrase this hour. Do you want to see the government come in and say, you can't access this until you're 16 years old or 15 or 12 or 18, whatever it might be? Should the government participate? Yes or no? Annie Fry YouTube channel, go vote. We'll be back in a minute.
Time to purchase a furnace or an air conditioner. I know it's winter. We got some great pricing. You can get 0% financing. So if you have been told that you need a new furnace, definitely give me a call. I could probably save you lots of money. Get a second opinion. Call me. Next day installs for your furnace so you won't be without heat. Very long. A furnace average install about 2-3 hours for a furnace. So not a big issue to do it now. And like I said, great pricing. So if that's you, call me. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. Just the easiest number. And there's one. 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, it is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Honey, he says we're in legal trouble, and we're going to lose our retirement. We have to get to a crypto ATM now.
This can't be right. It's not right. I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. We've received reports of devastating new scams involving crypto ATMs.
Let's report this.
We're here to help. Report suspected fraud at 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio every Saturday at 2, right here on 97.1 FM Talk, and you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
This is a Fox News alert. Multiple deaths confirmed in a search for missing skiers. I'm Lisa Brady. A California sheriff just making the announcement that 8 skiers have been found dead after a backcountry avalanche yesterday. Their bodies not yet recovered. 1 other skier remains missing.
Please understand that this incident remains ongoing. Our focus remains on recovering, but the snow and the unsure conditions are creating an issue to making sure that we can safely do that.
Nevada County Sheriff Shannon Moon says they've spoken to the families about shifting from rescue to recovery. 6 other skiers were found alive and rescued yesterday. That avalanche in the mountains near Lake Tahoe, now the deadliest in the U.S. in more than 4 decades. On day 18 of the search for Nancy Guthrie, the FBI now using genetic genealogy on DNA found in Guthrie's home, hoping to generate new leads after there was no match found in federal databases. Each side still blaming the other for the Homeland Security funding shutdown that began over the weekend as Democrats keep pushing for changes in immigration enforcement.
ICE needs to be reformed in a dramatic, bold, meaningful, and transformational manner. And if that doesn't happen, the DHS funding bill will not move forward.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, as White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt says they've been negotiating with Democrats in good faith.
Last night they sent over a counter proposal that frankly was very unserious, and we hope they get serious very soon because Americans are going to be impacted by this.
She accuses Democrats of wanting to pick a fight with the president. Just getting reports that hundreds of truck and bus driving schools in the U.S. are being ordered to close over safety deficiencies. There's been a review by federal transportation officials as part of a crackdown on commercial drivers who are in the country illegally. America is listening to Fox News.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly to mostly sunny skies this afternoon. Windy from the south. 72 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 49. Thursday, partly sunny. Cold front coming in, swinging the winds to the northwest in the afternoon on Thursday with a fast batch of scattered showers and possible thunderstorms. Windy and 73, but dropping temperatures during the afternoon. 38 Thursday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 56 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance and installation, and heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. AirComfortService.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Rain.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, we got some texts pouring in on the YouTube poll and kind of the broader conversation that we're discussing right now about how, this generation that is being raised on social media. Social means social media now. Kids don't know how to talk to each other. The poll for today is, should government regulate age of access to social media, yes or no? If you want to vote in that poll, go to youtube.com/@AnnieFry. You'll see we're broadcasting live there. And in that live broadcast, there's a chat. The poll is in the chat. That's why it's called the live chat poll. I wish there was an easier way to explain that. However, if you don't want to go to all that mess, you can't vote in the poll, but you can text us your thoughts at 314-241-9797. I want to talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. But first, I don't think it's supposed to be a funny story. I find it funny. Democrats, DHS shut down. So the Democrats have shut down the government. We're in a government shutdown right now, but it is just for that one sliver of appropriations that they weren't able to pass because the Democrats say, no, we're not going to do this until we get all of the things that they want. They've defunded this portion of the bill that defunds TSA, folks. So I hope you're not flying anywhere anytime soon. FEMA, hope we don't have any natural disasters. They're trying to, push back against ICE and so on and so forth. But this is a little bit humorous. This is from Fox News report written by Elizabeth Elkind. The Department of Homeland Security's internal watchdog has been forced to pause a significant chunk of its oversight of immigration enforcement because Democrats continue to withhold support for funding the cabinet-level agency. So that very element that they put inside, the watchdog element that they put inside ICE, to oversee everything is shut down right now because the government shut down. Well,
that's like when the government they'd shut down certain elements of police training under Biden. They'd go, the police need more training, so we're going to defund the police and then cut their training.
Ooh, I don't think you thought this through. More
no,
from Fox
that's
News.
Clear.
A spokesperson for the DHS Office of the Inspector General told Fox News Digital on Wednesday that most of its audits and inspections have had to be paused during the partial government shutdown, including many dealing with immigration and custom enforcement, ICE. Democrats have called for stricter oversight of ICE since President Donald Trump surged federal law enforcement agents to blue cities across the country in a bid to crack down on illegal immigration. But at least 7 of the internal DHS probes into ICE conduct have been suspended after Democrats walked away from a bipartisan deal to fund the department, plunging it into a shutdown. I don't think that if we went over to Ms. Now and read their articles on this, that they'd talk about the Democrats plunging it into a shutdown.
I don't think so either.
Anyway.
I have no way to find out, though.
Oh, it's complicated business.
It is.
More from the text line, Ryan. You said that the text started to come in on our discussion about providing our kids social media access. So there are several lanes here. There is, Mom and Dad, I want a phone. Well, I remind you, they don't want a phone so that you can talk to them on the phone. They want social media. They also want the internet, but they pretty much just want social media. If they were provided as something that would have internet access anywhere with social media access, they wouldn't care if that thing made a phone call, a text message, or anything like that. They don't need that. They want social media.
Yeah, they don't want to go to your old web page as much as they want to go to.
They're not emailing.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the last segment, we talked to a few callers, including Matt Hayes from Home Shield Foundation Repair. He happens to have 4 kids, teenager age and up. And he said that if he could do it all over again, he would be the meanest parent in the world, but he wouldn't give them phones until after they were leaving the house.
Okay, so a couple texts, and they are all over those topics.
314-241-9797 if you want to jump into the texts.
This one is about the poll question itself, which is, should the government regulate the age of access to social media? This person says, at first I say yes. Then I say to myself, wait a minute, this is the government. Everything that the government gets
This is what you said.
fingers on rots. Just saying. Right afterwards, this text comes in. It says, my daughter's 19 and often tells me she wished we would have never given her a phone. She sees what it does to her and others around her.
I will tell you that the rot and deterioration of personality, of individualism that exists for kids who live on their phones, it becomes their identity. It is external from them.
Yes.
And I'm telling you right now, if you haven't voted on the poll yet today, you can go into YouTube and you can just type Annie Fry and you'll find us. You'll see we're live, Frey. The options are yes or no, whether you want the government to regulate. One of the options is in the 40s. One of the options is in the 50s. So this is close.
Interesting.
So your vote right now might sway it one way or the other. I'm so much like I have permitted one of my children to have Instagram, and they have, I think, 30 minutes tops on the phone a day to look at it. Instagram was, now this child has earned our trust to have it. It could be rescinded in a blink of an eye. It's a way for her to communicate and to be connected to her friends, but I'm there on all of it. And like, if I take her phone to look at what's going on her phone and she gives me a dirty look, it's gone. Like, when I supervise what is going on your phone, that is the cost of entry. And it's a super limited amount of time. And we will pull the rug out of that so quickly. Like, my husband and I don't really like the permission for Instagram, but we've been so strict on all the other things. Like, again, I don't know that I'm doing any of this right. In fact, I've almost relegated myself to the thought of whatever ends up happening is going to be bad. I just am trying to do damage control.
It's interesting because I almost just said there really is no right, but there's a lot of wrong.
I think that the biggest thing in my mind right now, a lot of bad stuff can happen in 10 minutes. It's not like if you don't, I don't let my kid have it for hours. If I limit their connection to their phone / social media / internet to a short amount of time, I'm supervising it. I will pick up their phone and check what's going on, check who they're following. Like, if she's going to post something, she has to ask me what she's going to post before she posts it, and she does. Will she be sneaky and go around me? I don't think so right now. In the future, will she try to? Maybe. One of the things when I set up her Facebook, Facebook is kind of like lame. So her Facebook, when I set it up for her, it was basically her whole family. So like whatever goes on there publicly is going to be accessible by family. Can she spend the time to go around that so she can disseminate things to certain groups of people? You can do that. Will she? I don't think so. But there is trust that is involved. That earned trust is everything. Like, I've had to make that incredibly clear to her. Like, I trust you, but Ronald Reagan says I have to verify. And the trust but verify, heavy on the verify. It's kind of like a training wheels situation. This is what a lot of people will say. Were you going to just turn them over to the world when they're 18? Like, don't you want to supervise some of this while they're moving through this? Like, don't you want to help them learn? They can't. What are they going to do when they turn 18 and they go out into the world? I am not going to treat alcohol for my child when they're turning 21 like, well, you better start drinking now when you're 16 because we want to ease into this sucker. I'm not going to do that. Parents do. Some parents do. I've said on this show before, I'll say it again. I've told all of my kids, if you wait until you're 21 to have alcohol, I'll take you on a trip. I originally told them a cruise. Now that we went to Hawaii, they're like, can we go to Hawaii? And I'm like, I would way rather go to Hawaii. I think that's an investment. I'm very, if somebody were to say to me right now, would you pay $4,000 to keep your kid from drinking all through high school until they're 21? I'll pay more than that. I would absolutely do that to help them feel like they are empowered to make bigger decisions. But really at the whole of all of this too, and you know this, Ryan, that all of these decisions, the trust that you put into your child, it all has to come after a foundation about something that is bigger than yourself. For our family, I know this is the case for your family, there has to be a foundation where you derive your value from. Where does my child get their value from? It's not from my affirmation. And their value comes from their creator, their God. In our house, that is the utmost important element of all of this, because you always have the ability to go back to that and have a standard for us that is scriptural, that is biblical, that precedes us and will exceed us. And that type of grounding and making sure your child understands where their value comes from when the world isn't affirming your value, well, of course it wouldn't. It never will. Which is why listening to parents talk about how, their kids, oh man, I know local stories of kids who would go on TikTok. They'd finish their day, they go into their bedrooms, and then they spend hours on TikTok, making TikToks, being on TikTok, going to TikTok, and that is a dopamine hit that just keeps on coming from them until the video is over, and then they need it again. You have to be the thing that's willing to stand in the middle of the storm, blocking them from going to that place for that dopamine hit. It's so hard. And as a parent, you are going to be the worst. You're the worst, Mom. Yes, I know. And if you love your kid enough, you have to be willing to be the worst so that the worst of the world won't get to your kid. Because it's seeking them out. It's looking for them around every nook and cranny. Drugs, sex, pornography, alcohol, eating disorders, body image issues, bullying, physical extortion. Like, these are all things that I would like to go through my whole life without ever coming into encounter with. Your kids can encounter all of those things in a single night. Probably within an hour through a series of short form, quick hit video consumption on their favorite platform. Why would you not stand in the middle of that storm to protect them from it?
From the text line, Annie, parents' purpose is not to raise children, but to raise future adults that behave like adults. Handing young children a phone and using it as the reason for children to have a social life is a poor excuse and being lazy. Our parents, grandparents, friends' parents, neighbors, and church families taught us how to make friends and be social in person for decades. We can make friends in ways other than digitally. That's paraphrased because there's a lot more to
And
it.
I will say, too, to that is firm foundation to stand upon. But kids are social almost 100% through these means. Pull your kid out of that. It's good and right to say that the social human connection has to happen in person, but it's not happening in person for the majority of these kids in high school.
You're right. We have to teach, in my family, we teach our kids to trust God, but we also, as parents, have to trust God and trust that He is not just a principle, that He is actively involved in our relationships, in protecting them. It's one of the reasons we pray for them. It's one of the reasons that we're able to sort of lay down these worries, even though we're pretty strict too. You know that, Annie.
Yeah.
We're strict. But we can lay down that worry when it comes to bedtime and say, okay, I've done all I can do. Now I just got to trust that God's got it under control and the kids know what their role is.
Yeah. It's a wild song.
What is this?
Hold On by Wilson Phillips. It just cheesed up everything we just said.
Yeah, it did. You could have played Cats in the Cradle.
Could have.
That'd have been good.
Why don't you sing it?
Ethan,
with Wilson.
Cats in the Cradle is the next one.
No, don't do that. When are you going to start singing?
Yeah, that was them.
Was that Wilson or Phillips?
That was Wilson and Phillips together. You could hear it in the harmonization.
Oh, man. Ethan, sports and local on the Annie Fry Show next. Point Pest Control, Point with an E. I appreciate Point Pest Control for making my home a pest-free home. And when you've got this, 72 degrees, according to my phone right now, don't you see the critters kind of starting to move? Now, it's going to get cold again. It's February 18th. You know that it's going to get cold and freeze again, probably have snow again, boo. But as the seasons shift, so do the pests that are seeking out your home, seeking out shelter, water, whatever it might be, come in and out. You want to make sure that they don't seek your home for their home. That's why I have hired Point Pest Control, and I am a premium service plan subscriber. They do quarterly treatments on my home, inside the home and outside of the home, based on my needs at any given quarter. 636-798-0023 is the number to call. But don't forget to mention my name, because they're going to take 10% off the top of whatever specials they have going on right now, because you're a listener to the Annie Fry Show. 636-798-0023. 636-798-0023. Point with an E. PointPestControl.com.
Men. Need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of and low libido, and they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley. Injured at work? Not choosing the best lawyer will cost you. But here's the good news. Since you don't pay unless we win, you can afford the very best. Kaufman Townsley. Call 314-777-7777.
Are you nearing retirement and wondering if you're truly prepared? Sue Thomas here. And when it comes to retirement planning, keep in mind Financial and Tax Architects, FTA, has helped families all across St. Louis plan to retire with clarity and confidence. FTA specializes in creating tax-efficient retirement strategies, showing you how and when to claim Social Security, and building an income plan designed to last as long as you do. Now, they have a Retirement Planning 101 class. It is eye-opening. It's 2.5 hours. It's offered on campuses of colleges throughout the area. No cost or obligation, but you're going to learn how to avoid costly mistakes, reduce unnecessary taxes, and make your money work smarter in retirement. Call 314-888-5101 or visit fta-ria.com to reserve your seat today. Space fills quickly, so don't wait. Take that first step toward a more confident retirement.
Hi, Chad Hansen from Hansen's Tree Service. Much like the human body, trees require a specific combination of nutrients to thrive. Our certified arborists can come to your property and prescribe the ideal treatment to ensure your trees and plants thrive this coming season. Check us out today at hansenstree.com and take advantage of our winter savings.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meyer Grocery, or Wegmans.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hold up. Check it out.
Sports and local.
Beefin' with Ethan.
Brian.
I think that was one of the originals.
That
was
one
probably
sounded
one of the
like
first ones.
AI.
It was
I think it was AI.
It was before I even got the voice
Beefing
guy
with
to do it.
Ethan.
We had said, we should call the segment something goofy like Beefing with Ethan. And so I just made it right then.
That was fun.
Is that the original?
I think that was the first one.
Was it really?
I think so.
It's a historical day
We've
here.
come a long way here.
Yeah.
In Ethan's Sports and Local,
Is
otherwise
today
known as Beefing with Ethan.
Is today a sad sports report day?
It will have some sad features in it.
Okay.
But there's also some exciting things
Bad
as
news
well.
first.
Okay, all right. I wasn't going to, but I can. It's fine. You want to start with the bad news?
Doesn't really
It's fine.
sound like it's fine. Sounds like you're pretty miffed.
Well, you know, I like my segment being my segment, Annie, and sometimes I can't tell whose segment it is. I know it has Ethan in the title, but
sometimes I don't know.
I really
Just don't listen to
appreciate
us.
your super passive-aggressive nature. Go on.
He's beefing.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
I'm
I
just
should've
fitting
known.
with the segment title. That's all. The Billikens 18-game winning streak is over.
No longer the best start? Or it is the best start.
We can't talk about the start anymore. The start is over.
When I saw that
We
they
have
lost
now-
last night, I'm like, oh, this will be good content for the show tomorrow. Because
terrible.
the start is
What's
over
wrong
at
with you?
24-2.
You sicko. The Billikens.
Gosh, you're supposed to be beefing with Ryan. Get off my back, man.
I like
The title doesn't specify. Rhode Island.
No one is
Rhode
safe.
Island of all teams.
They're such a little state.
I have a buddy that's a huge Billikens fan, and
Is
he
he
was
okay?
very upset in our chat last night, in our group chat, and he asked another friend to start just stating terrible facts about Rhode Island. What can you tell me that's bad about Rhode Island?
The geography, like the state?
Yeah. And my other friend just pulled out this random one. He said there are farms in Texas that have larger acreage than the state of Rhode Island.
Oh my gosh.
That's terrible.
I was amazed by
It's
that.
also only got water on two sides of it.
Freaking losers.
Losers.
Rhode Island wasn't
Shots fired
losers
at Rhode
last
Island.
night. 81-76 win over the 18th ranked Billikens. And after the loss, Annie, what's the record?
24-2.
24-2.
What happened? Why'd they
12-1
lose?
In the A10.
Did Rhode Island beat them? Or did they beat themselves?
You know, that's a good question.
Thank you. That's what I do.
Last night, after the game, Josh Schertz, the head coach of the Billikens, was asked, what went wrong tonight? And he talked about how this team did not play with its true identity last night, and that even the last couple of games, since the Dayton game, which we talked about, that was the whiteout game a couple of weeks ago, since then, they haven't played with the same amount of energy that they had prior to that point. So I think you could make a good argument that this is a well-timed loss. They have their biggest game of the year on Friday. They're facing VCU, who is one of the hottest teams in the country right now. They are right on SLU's tail in the conference. So maybe this is that wake-up opportunity that the Billikens need in order to get back on track, because it sounds like perhaps there was a little bit of cockiness that they were playing with, that wins were just going to come to them because of the start.
This is exactly
that
what
they
I
had.
said when Illinois lost. Like a good learning opportunity.
And then they lost again.
I know.
You think they are losing and playing without the fervor that they were because of that nun that died from Loyola?
Brian, do not bring the nuns.
That's a callback from yesterday. So you're going to have to get the podcast to get the joke.
Too much explaining.
Thank you.
So
What about-
anyway,
what about other stories?
The Billikens.
Let's
Friday
rename
night.
this show,
Friday
this
night.
segment too. So anyway.
So anyway, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is in St. Louis today.
I heard that.
Is he listening? Hi, Pete.
Pete.
He is making a stop at Boeing. The stop is part of Secretary Hegseth's Arsenal of Freedom tour, a call to action to revitalize America's manufacturing industry and workforce.
Isn't the F-47 being made in St. Louis?
Yes.
Boom.
It is.
We are going to have Mark Sutherland of the Air Show, who helps promote the St. Louis Air Show, the one that got me connected with the Blue Angels. He's going to come in. I don't know. Is he coming in Friday, or is it? Do we know yet?
We don't know yet.
Okay. He said he was available Friday, but we'll get back to you when he's going to come in. But the Air Show is going to be back. I missed the Air Show because I think it comes every other year. But if you haven't gone to an air show, I am not somebody I was not air show material until I was in an F-18 with the Blue Angels a couple years ago, which you can watch that YouTube video if you want to see my experience there. I cannot believe that I did that. If I were asked to do it again, I don't know that I would be inclined to be like, yeah, I got to do that again. It's like something to do to say that you've done. But when we were at the air show watching all the different things that they had to show there, including the Blue Angels, I was watching them and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so crazy. I can't believe they're doing that. And Jared was like, you did that. And I was like, no way, I didn't do that. He's like, no, you definitely did that. But they have the Raptor there, which is so crazy. Like these things, they move through the air like boats in water. They're so precise in what they can do that when you see what our American military is capable of, just like for fun, I I implore every single one of you, whenever we have him on the show, I will promote it again. But tickets are on sale right now for the St. Louis Air Show. It is the coolest thing I have ever seen with my own eyes.
I love watching the Raptor go by because you can see the little arms.
Dang it, I want to turn my mic off. I didn't want you to hear me laughing. I wanted to leave it hang. You're such a dope.
That was a good joke.
According to a press release,
Say so anyway.
The tour is also to highlight the urgent need for America to rebuild its defense industrial base to ensure the administration's peace through strength agenda. The visit comes nearly 1 year after President Trump announced that St. Louis's Boeing will manufacture the Air Force's new fighter jets, the F-47. The initial contract for production was estimated at $20 million and set to create a number of jobs for the region as well.
I hope Pete Hegseth heard that joke.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate
314-241-9797 if you want to text in if you're the Secretary of War.
Yeah.
No one else can?
Right.
Big day.
I'll unblock the phones for the Secretary of War.
Okay.
It's been a big couple of days for St. Louis Blues playing in the Winter Olympics. Yesterday, Dalibor Dvorsky had a very big performance for Slovakia, scored a goal and had an assist in their 6-2 win over Germany. So they continue to trend in a strong direction. Dvorsky, who was one of the Blues' top 10 picks back in 2023, has recorded points in all 4 games of the tournament and is the second youngest player to record a point streak of 4+ games at an Olympics with NHL players, trailing only Evgeny Malkin. So pretty solid start for Dalibor Dvorsky at the Winter Olympics. And then Jordan Binnington helped lead Team Canada to a win over Czechia this, I guess it was technically this morning. So Canada advancing to the semifinals. They won in overtime in what was a very exciting game. So we'll keep you updated on Blues in the Winter Olympics and how they continue to perform.
So is the NHL on hiatus for a while?
It's about 3.5 weeks that they are on break for the Winter Olympics, yes.
Is that good for the NHL?
I would
feel like you would
say
lose
yes.
some momentum of the season, but you'd also 3.5 weeks for people to get rested up equally would potentially make the second half or last third or whatever the season maybe a little more exciting if people are healthier.
I would argue that it is beneficial because now that NHL players are playing in the Olympics, it's not like the attention goes away from hockey.
Mm-hmm.
The attention is still on NHL players, and I would argue it's maybe even heightened because it's players playing for their own countries. The amount of pride that these guys play with is through the roof. The passion behind the play, I would argue, is much greater than it is in NHL play. So I would argue that it almost builds hype going into the latter half or latter part of the NHL season.
So not a bad thing.
I would argue it's not a bad thing, no.
Okay.
I would argue against it.
So anyway.
Didn't ask. But that's fine. It's good.
Good?
Up to you. Your segment. Your show.
Ooh, he's beefing now.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Oh, okay.
Play the music, Brad.
I think we're done. I'll tell Brad when to play the music, Ethan. This is my show, my
Tell
segment.
him to play the music then.
Beefing
I don't know. Why don't you do it then?
Brad, play the music.
He's already playing the music. Brad has played the music. We'll be back in just a minute. YouTube live chat poll. Should government regulate age of access to social media? Yes or no? We'll take your text messages as well. 314-241-9797. And don't forget, if you want to stream the station live anywhere, anytime, download that Odyssey app. AUDACY. You find the 97.1 FM Talk part of it, the Annie Fry Show part. We want to hang out with you wherever you go. Back in a minute. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. Matt Hayes, as I said, he's a great guy. And I think it matters when you look at a business like Home Shield Foundation Repair that is built right out of the ground here in St. Louis. They are people that understand the area, the community, and they work within the community. They give back to the community quite a bit. Home Shield Foundation Repair is a safe bet when you're looking to solve a foundation concern, problem, disaster, whatever it might be. Here's the point. Call them before it becomes a disaster. Get ahead of it because it's going to likely save you a lot of money. And if you've got a wet basement, if you've got moisture coming into that basement area, cracks in your foundation, maybe it's something that as you've been organizing here in the beginning part of 2026, you've noticed something you didn't notice before. How long has it been there? Is it an issue? Call an expert. That's Matt Hayes. 314-271-9900, 314-271-9900. Have Matt Hayes come out, look at your foundation, and give you a solution that will work for you. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
100 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been repairing and replacing garage doors. A century of trust in St. Louis. Always look for the iconic red ribbon of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis for same-day repair service and no extra charge for evening or Saturday service. Trust your friends at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com. That's overheaddoorstlouis.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. I'm with Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage, and if you're thinking about refinancing, he has some great advice.
Mark, this is a great time to refinance. If you financed over the last 3 years, you're probably paying a higher rate. Take advantage now. Refinance with the Bagel loan. No closing costs, no title fees, no lender fees, nothing. Bagel looks like a zero, easy to remember. For those of you folks that are waiting on the sideline saying, hey, maybe the rates will go down more, I'm going to wait. Take advantage now. A bird in the hand's better than two in the bush. Refinance. Get the cash out you need. Get a lower rate. Maybe even go from a 30 to a 20 year and keep that payment the same. All with the Bagel loan.
And this is a quick process, right?
We close in 10 days. We send a notary out to your house to close so you don't have to take off any time from work. It's easy. It's simple. Bing, bam, boom. Your home is the biggest investment you're going to make in your life. Deal with somebody local, somebody who has a reputation, somebody who has accountability. I'm here in town. You can call me or text me after hours, weekends, whenever it's convenient for you.
Call or text Stewie at 314-324-4440 or Google the Bagel loan. NMLS number 226715.
What's up, world? It's Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP, chicken farmer, and now host of Free Range. This is a show where I go off the field and off the script. We're talking what's hot in music, film, trending news, and everything blowing up your feed. If you love football, you'll feel at home. But if you're here for the vibes, the internet deep dives, the conversation, this is your podcast. Join me every Wednesday. Follow and listen to Free Range with me, Von Miller, everywhere you get your podcast.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
We just learned that Pete Hegseth is in St. Louis right now during Beefin' with Ethan segment. This text just came in. It says, I have been listening. However, I am about to enter the facility to check out the new fighter jet.
Hi, Pete.
I can maybe call in with a few breaking details on that jet afterwards.
Yeah.
Now, that is from a 573 number from mid-Missouri, though.
That's what I would do if I wanted to blend in.
You know what? He's got the tech. He could probably make it from any number.
Yeah. You could just like speak it into the universe and make it so.
But it's also possible that that's somebody pretending to be Pete Hegseth.
That's George from Fenton.
I don't know. There's no way to know. He'll have to call in and tell us. 314-241-9797.
Well, the phones are blocked right now.
Oh, okay.
Text us again.
It is 2:38. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Cutting through the spin. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Kevin James, fan, not a fan, King of Queens, comedian, in Grown Ups, in the Sandler orbit.
I don't dislike him at all. I've never really latched on. Never really.
No hate.
No hate.
No posters on your bedroom wall.
I'm not.
Kevin James.
I didn't say
yes,
that.
Please say yes. Please say yes. Brad?
Big fan.
How big?
He's one of my favorite actors. I think he's funnier than Will Ferrell.
Wow.
Are you being serious right now, or are we still playing?
He is serious.
Yeah, I really like Kevin James. I think that he's funny. My sense of humor and his sense of humor line up a lot, and so like what he does cracks me up. My favorite movie is Here Comes the Boom, where he plays the teacher who fights MMA to raise money for the school.
Mine's Paul Blart.
Paul Blart.
What a concept.
Paul Blart is a movie like if me and my best friend wrote a movie, it would have been Paul Blart.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about Kevin James.
I don't know anything about these movies, so I don't have
Okay.
I would need more context. Kevin James is, you know him from King of Queens, and he's in a new movie coming out. It's called Solo Mio. And I appreciate Kevin James. I think the thing I like about him the most is I feel like he understands what he has to offer. That his comedy, there is a certain type of comedy. He has great timing. To my knowledge, he doesn't do a lot of blue comedy.
No, not really.
I've never seen it. Not that I've been seeking it out per se. But Fox News has a headline, Kevin James accused of being MAGA after punting political questions, says he focuses on fun. So here's a question to pose for you. If you are a public figure, specifically in the entertainment, music arena, maybe I would say sports arena too, but I think it really depends on the sport. If you choose not to, I hate this phrase, bend the knee to the forced opportunity to virtue signal, does that automatically mean that you're MAGA? Because I think that there are a lot of people in the entertainment industry who are conservative-minded, probably 100% fiscally, and the social stuff, they just, I'm like, I don't want to, libertarian, lazily non-engaged or opinionated about. Which you have a right to be. Bree Stimson for Fox News writes this article. It says, some of social media are insisting that Kevin James' insistence on staying out of politics means that he's a closeted Trump supporter. Dun, dun, dun. So here is what he was asked and what he said. Politically, for me to speak on it, there are experts who know much more than I do. He's out there trying to promote a movie, and he gets put into this position where he's kind of being given the opportunity, to do the tap dance and say the things. He continued, quote, I'm just focusing on what I can do, delivering a fun, heartfelt break from the craziness of the world. Everybody carries themselves around all day long with a lot of stress. It's necessary in some ways, but you also need a break. You've got to look around and find the good in things. Otherwise, you're just not going to function. I want to make people have fun, have hope, and get a nice escape in their day. Fox News follows up and said, one person commented, translation, he's conservative and doesn't want the money to stop flowing. Give me examples of actors who have come out and been conservative, who have been asked to speak on their thoughts on politics, Trump, any of the particular issues at hand. Name any of them who haven't watched their careers come to a screeching halt.
Gina Carano. Oh, wait.
Now, Gina Carano is back in the news. Do you know this?
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't.
Gina Carano, news has come out that Gina Carano is going to fight Ronda Rousey once again.
Oh, I did see rumors of that.
So maybe the money did start flowing in? I'm not 100% sure.
That's MMA, though.
Back to, yeah, so.
Well, it's not. She's not back in movies.
I think she's back in entertainment.
That is entertainment, but that's a very right-leaning entertainment.
Nonetheless.
Yeah.
It's where she started, too, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you have Kevin James here being put on the spot about political views. Another person comment, yeah, he's MAGA. This code, OFR 4, maybe this is code 4. I just have to read this broken idiot's English. This code for that he is conservative and doesn't want to get canceled. I'm refraining on making a public education joke right now. I just want credit for that. My husband is in public education. It's just too easy. Translation, voted for Trump. Another added translation, quote, I'm conservative, but don't want the lefty hate cult to destroy me like they tend to do. I think that's probably maybe more accurate. Does it mean because he's out there promoting a movie, does that automatically mean that Kevin James, if he will not kowtow to the media folks out there and answer those questions, does it automatically mean that he's like, can't wait to get back into his car so he can secretly put his red MAGA hat on and like drive through the streets playing Kid Rock?
I don't know. When I hear somebody say that now, I think, well, they probably aren't at least an avowed leftist. That doesn't mean I know where they stand on everything. But if you give a hardcore progressive a platform to speak about anything, they will take it. And he's not taking it.
Here, this is what I offer as a counter. And I am praying to Lord Jesus that this is the case, that entertainment actually gets back to the thought of entertaining, that you don't take, that we have to stop entertaining these dopey reporters who are trying to make their social media hit. It's about them. It's not about the culture. You're not saving the world when Kevin James comes out on ice. Nothing is changing other than Kevin James now has to deal with a PR crap storm and you get your name out there in the news because you got someone to say something dumb. And it doesn't matter what he says about it. I don't know how Kevin James feels about this stuff, but we are not, the people are not asking for Kevin James to weigh in on important issues. In fact, we are pleading with the Kevin Jameses of the world to just entertain us, just make us laugh. I give you Snow White. Fox Business reports, I should say, that Disney has now come out with a report that they lost $170 million on Snow White. $170 million on the fact that Snow White, I've seen people who are in my circle who, I have an affinity for Disney World with my family. I know some of you hate me for it, but you're still here listening. I apologize for who I am as an individual. But I know people I have like some Facebook groups that are conservatives who also like Disney, and there's this conflict and they talk about it. I don't talk about it, but I just watch it. And there were lots of people who came out afterwards, after Disney hit streaming, or Snow White hit streaming, and they were like, Snow White wasn't like terrible. And I thought, what an interesting juxtaposition. What an interesting story of two things being true at one time. You can make a movie. It can maybe not be as original as the like monumentally forward-thinking historical film that the original cartoon Snow White was. It was groundbreaking at the time. You can make a movie like that. You can remake it into a live-action film. You can even tweak the storyline a little bit. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. I usually hate it when they change the storyline. You can make that movie, and you could probably make some money off of it. But when you have your dopey no pun intended, what are some other dwarf names that we could give?
Grumpy?
The actress. Grumpy. Yeah. You just...
Frumple.
Frumple, Stiltskin. When you have your actress whose lead role is Snow White come out and talk about how dumb the movie is, how dumb the story, I should say, of Snow White is, and how it's a terribly dated, awful story of a woman who has to wait on a man to kiss her without consent in order for her to live. Nope, we're not doing any of that. The whole PR for Snow White, the remake, was to wokeify it. And they tried to get her to stop doing that. And it was too late, and they had to eat a $170 million lunch over it. Good for you. Learn your freaking lesson. So when Kevin James is going out and he's promoting some movie called Solo Mio, which does you guys know?
It's just a rom-com. It was made by Angel Studios. It is.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I thought I saw that it was. I've seen those in my ads, in the Angel ads.
Yeah, but it's not a political movie at all. I mean, it is straight up just have fun Valentine's Day rom-com movie.
It's incredible to see him come out and be like, "Can I just talk about my movie?" And over his shoulder, everybody should be thinking Snow White. $170 million lost on a movie that was probably at best okay, but certainly didn't need to take that kind of bath. It's ridiculous. Go Kevin James. Go watch all those things. Go watch Grown Ups. He's hilarious in that movie. All right, when we come back, the results to today's poll. Should government regulate age of access to social media? Yes or no? Back in a minute.
with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at De Pere, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
Triton Exteriors, St. Louis Roofing, Siding, and Gutter Systems. We'll take care of you and your home. We're #1 in the Ladue, Kirkwood, and Webster area. James Hardy certified. Visit Triton.stl.com to be connected with a James Hardy expert and receive a free estimate. Triton-stl.com or call 314-717-1159. That's 314-717-1159. Triton Exteriors, St. Louis #1 James Hardy specialists.
Annie Fry is St. Louis conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Oh, man. The YouTube live chat poll for today, we're talking about government regulation. Brad, what are your thoughts on this poll on the whole? If you're answering, should government regulate the age of access to social media, yes or no?
I'm a yes. I think that we regulate their access to pornography, to drugs, to alcohol, to a whole number of things. It doesn't hurt anything for the government to do this, so I'm a yes.
But we regulate the platforms. So, I mean, that's an important distinction, too, like to what you're saying. The websites have to verify. If you're trying to go on to like a wine tour and you go to their website, you usually have to verify your birthday.
Yeah.
I know that when I would go onto STS Armory's website, you have to verify that you're of age. So I guess, I mean, obviously kids are going to lie, but should the regulation be in place? What do you think? Government step in?
I've evolved over the span of the show to a yes. I would have started as a no.
Really?
Yeah.
We have about 200 votes in. 57% say no, but 43% yes. So to get 43% of this audience to say, yeah, government should step in and regulate, there's a multiplier there, I think, that suggests that people are open to it. All I can say is I'm pleading with you, if you're in a position where you're struggling with this, your gut, your intuition is telling you how to protect your kids, and the world is telling you, don't do it. Don't protect your kids. We got this. What more do you need to know to step in and protect and shield your children from what is out there trying to get them? Be strong, be a parent. If you're not the cool mom or the cool dad, you're probably the best mom and the best dad. Mark Reardon next.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Health Trends, sponsored by Wesley Financial.
Skip the sugary drinks. An analysis from Brigham Young University finds sugary drinks make the blood glucose spike